We have made this video in both Hindi and English languages. You can watch them on our channel, NoName IAS. 50 Years of Emergency. Now let us talk about the emergency imposed in 1975, which completed 50 years in 2025. On the 25th of June 1975, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi declared a nationwide emergency, which lasted until the 21st of March 1977. During this period, many civil rights, like freedom of speech, freedom of the press, were restricted. Now the question is, why was emergency imposed? The first reason was social unrest. At that time, there were massive demonstrations and strikes in the country. JP movement was started by Jayaprakash Narayan, in which people were on the streets against Indira Gandhi's government. The government said that this unrest is a threat to the country and an emergency is necessary to control it. The second reason was the economic crisis. The country's economy was in trouble after the Indo-Pak War of 1971. Inflation and unemployment had increased a lot. Additionally, the global oil crisis also affected India. All these together created economic instability in the country. The third reason was political instability. In a case, Allahabad High Court had declared the election of Indira Gandhi invalid. This case was State of UP vs Raj Narayan. This decision challenged the power of Indira Gandhi. At the same time, pressure from opposition parties and movements was increasing. To deal with this situation, Indira Gandhi decided to concentrate power in her hands and imposed emergency. We will talk about the major constitutional amendments that took place during the emergency of 1975. The first amendment was the 38th Amendment, 1975. Under this, the declaration of emergency could not be challenged in the court. The President's decision was considered final and conclusive. This rule applied to Articles 352, 356, and 360 of the Constitution. This means that no court could examine the emergency decision. The second was the 39th Amendment, 1975. In this, the method of resolving disputes related to the election of President, Vice President, Prime Minister and Speaker of Lok Sabha was changed. Now these disputes were to go to a body decided by Parliament and not to a court. This put these positions outside the reach of the court. The third and the biggest was the 42nd Amendment, 1976. It is also called mini-constitution because many big changes took place in it. Let's understand this. Directive principles of state policy were placed above fundamental rights. Under Article 31C, schemes implementing the directive principles of state policy could not be challenged in court. The powers of the Supreme Court and the High Courts were reduced. For example, Article 32A was added, which prevented the Supreme Court from examining the constitutional validity of state laws. It was later removed by the 43rd Amendment. The High Court was also stripped of the power to examine the validity of central laws through Articles 131A and 226A. The term of the Lok Sabha was increased from 5 years to 6 years. By amending Article 368, Parliament was given almost unlimited power to amend the Constitution. Furthermore, civil liberties and fundamental rights were suspended during the emergency. An example of this is the ADM Jabalpur case, in which the court said that an appeal cannot be made in the court to protect fundamental rights during an emergency. Additionally, censorship was imposed on the media, and mass arrests took place under laws such as MISA. After the emergency was over, the Shah Commission was formed in May 1977. Its job was to investigate the mistakes made during the emergency, such as forced sterilization, forced retirement of government employees, censorship on courts and parliament, and other wrongdoings. This commission highlighted these mistakes and gave suggestions to prevent such mistakes from happening in future. After the emergency, the 44th Amendment was passed in 1978, which made many important changes. Changes in Article 352. The ground for imposition of emergency was now made armed rebellion instead of just internal disturbance. The term internal disturbance was used with a much broader meaning, which had the potential for misuse. Also, before taking a decision on emergency, the Union Cabinet will have to advise the President in writing. This reduced the possibility of taking hasty decisions. It was made mandatory to get approval from the Parliament with a special majority within 1 month for the declaration of emergency. Protection of fundamental rights. Article 359 was amended to ensure that Article 20 and Article 21 would continue to operate even during an emergency. That is, these rights cannot be suspended. Right to property. Right to property was removed from the fundamental rights and made a constitutional right. which is now under Article 300A. Article 257A deleted. This article gave the central government the power to send armed forces to deal with the law and order situation in any state. By removing this, the autonomy of the states was strengthened. Tenure of Lok Sabha. The 42nd Amendment increased the term of the Lok Sabha from 5 to 6 years. The 44th Amendment reduced it back to 5 years by amending Articles 83 and 172. Judicial review restored. The courts were again given the power to investigate disputes relating to the election of the president and vice president. Conclusion. The emergency taught us that power can be abused in the name of national interest or stability. This poses a risk of suppressing dissent and violating constitutional rights. In 2025, on the completion of 50 years of emergency, many organizations organized seminars, such as an event in Delhi in July 2025, where the emphasis was on protecting democracy. It reminds us that we must remain ever vigilant to maintain constitutional protections and civil liberties. We will talk in detail about Article 352 of National Emergency. What is a national emergency? Under Article 352, the President can declare a national emergency if there is a serious situation in the country like war, external attack, or armed rebellion. This is a big step taken for the security and stability of the country. Grounds for imposing emergency war, like the India-China War of 1962. External attack, like the Indo-Pak War of 1971. Armed revolt, such as terrorist activities or large-scale violent rebellion. Earlier, internal disturbance was also the basis. But after the 44th Amendment, it was changed to armed rebellion to prevent its misuse. Process of declaration. The President can declare an emergency only if the Union Cabinet advises him in writing. This rule ensures that the decision is not taken in haste, but is taken thoughtfully. Approval. The declaration of emergency has to be approved by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha within a month. If the Lok Sabha is dissolved, approval is required within 30 days of the formation of the new Lok Sabha. Until then, Rajya Sabha will have to give approval. Special majority required for approval. Majority of the total membership of the House. Supported by more than 2/3 of the members present and voting. Duration. Emergency once declared lasts for 6 months. It can be extended indefinitely by repromulgation again and again, unless it is cancelled. Revocation. The President can revoke the emergency at any time. The Lok Sabha can also cancel it by passing a resolution. Rajya Sabha has no role in this. Impact of national emergency, center-state relations. The central government can give instructions to the states in any matter. Under Article 250, Parliament can make laws on any subject in the state list. The President can change the revenue distribution between the center and the states. Tenure of Lok Sabha and Legislative Assemblies. During emergency, the tenure of Lok Sabha and Legislative Assemblies can be extended for 1 year each. But this increase cannot happen after 6 months of the end of the emergency. Fundamental rights, Article 358. If the emergency is due to war or external aggression, then the rights under Article 19, freedom of speech, etc. get automatically suspended. Article 359. The President can suspend other fundamental rights. The 44th Amendment ensured that Article 20, protection from punishment for offense, and Article 21, life and personal liberty shall never be suspended. If you like the video, then like it now. Personality rights. Recently, the Delhi High Court gave an order to protect the personality rights of Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. Some websites and platforms misused his voice, face and image using artificial intelligence. The court took steps to stop this. The Delhi High Court issued an interim order on May 30, 2025, stating that certain unknown websites and social media platforms had manipulated Sadhguru's image, voice and video using AI. These were used to promote fake products, such as a book called Garbh Yatra, or investment platforms like Trendastic Prism. The court deemed this as fraud and ordered the blocking of these websites, removal of their YouTube channels, and disclosure of their subscriber details. Personality rights mean that a person can prevent the unauthorized use of his or her personal characteristics, such as his or her name, face, voice, gestures, or distinctive features. These rights are of 2 types. Commercial, like using someone's image to sell a product without permission. Non-commercial, such as invading someone's privacy. There is no clear law for personality rights in India, but they get protection to some extent from other laws and constitutional provisions. There are two main parts of personality rights. Right to publicity. This right prevents the commercial use of one's image, voice, or identity without permission. Example: if any company uses Sadhguru's photo to sell a product without his permission, it is a violation. In India, it is protected to some extent under the Trademarks Act 1999 and the Copyright Act 1957. For example, someone's photograph or voice may be considered part of a copyright. Right to privacy. This right states that no one's identity can be misrepresented in public without permission. This falls under Article 21 of the Constitution. In 2017, Justice K.S. In the Puthuswamy case, the Supreme Court considered the right to privacy as a fundamental right, which further strengthened the personality rights. Posthumous personality rights. In India, there is no clear law for the protection of personality rights after death. However, the Emblems Act 1950 prohibits the commercial use of images of Mahatma Gandhi and the Prime Minister. Deepa Jayakumar vs. AL. In Vijay case, the Madras High Court held that the protection of the personality rights, reputation, or privacy of a person lasts only during his lifetime. These rights end upon death. This means that protection of posthumous personality rights is currently limited in India. Important decisions on personality rights. ICC Development International Limited vs. Arvi Enterprises, 2003 Delhi High Court. In this case, the Delhi High Court said that taking away a person's right to publicity is a violation of Article 19 of the Constitution, freedom of speech, and Article 21, the right to life and personal liberty. This means that if someone uses someone's identity commercially without permission, it is wrong. Arun Jaitley vs. Network Solutions Private Limited, 2011 Delhi High Court. In this case, the court said that the popularity or fame of a person is equally important on the internet as much as in real life. If someone misuses the name or image of a famous person on the internet, it would be considered an infringement of their personality rights. Rajinikanth vs. Varsha Productions, 2015 Madras High Court. The Madras High Court ruled that using a celebrity's name, image, or style without permission violates their personality rights. For example, if someone uses Rajinikanth's photo or his style in a film or advertisement without his consent, so this is illegal. Conclusion: there is currently no clear law to protect personality rights in India. Intellectual property laws, such as the Trademarks Act and the Copyright Act, provide some degree of protection, but these are not enough. Especially given the increasing misuse of AI and deepfakes, a strong legal framework is needed. In 2025, as we saw in the Sadhguru case, Delhi High Court took strict steps to stop fake content created by AI. But in the future, government agencies will have to be more proactive so that AI-generated fake content can be stopped immediately. For this, a comprehensive law and monitoring system is necessary. You can watch all the videos of this June 2025 magazine month from this playlist. Constitutional validity of Narco tests. Now we will talk about the constitutional validity of Narco test, which is in the news recently due to a decision of the Supreme Court. Recent news: the Supreme Court has set aside the Patna High Court order which allowed narco test on all the accused and witnesses. The decision was taken based on the 2010 case of Selvi vs. State of Karnataka, which considered the constitutional validity of tests like narco test and polygraph. What is narco test? Narco test is a method of interrogation in which a suspect is given a medicine called sodium pentothal under controlled conditions. It is a psychoactive drug that reduces a person's reasoning ability and the ability to decide between right and wrong. This medicine is also used for anesthesia in surgery. The purpose of the test is to extract the truth from the suspect. Highlights of the Supreme Court's decision: involuntary narco test is unconstitutional. Forced narco test violates Article 20 of the Constitution and Article 21. Forced narco test is completely illegal under any circumstances. Information obtained from forced tests cannot be used as evidence in court. Voluntary narco test cannot prove guilt. If a person willingly undergoes a narco test and all the rules are followed, even then the test report cannot be used as direct evidence. Reason? During the test, the individual has no conscious control over his or her responses. However, new information obtained from the test, such as a new clue, may be admissible in court under the Indian Evidence Act 1872. Apart from Selvi case, this point was also reiterated in Vinobhai vs State of Kerala and Manoj Kumar Soni vs State of Madhya Pradesh cases. Limited right to voluntary narco test. No accused has the full right to undergo narco test. However, if the accused wishes to undergo the test on his own will, so he can do so at the stage of presenting evidence during the trial. Quality Council of India. Now we will talk about Quality Council of India. On the 28th of May 2025, Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Jitin Prasada, inaugurated the new integrated headquarters of QCI at the World Trade Center, New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also praised QCI in a message on the occasion. He said QCI promotes quality standards in areas such as education, health, environment, governance, and infrastructure, which has a positive impact on people's lives. What is Quality Council of India? Establishment QCI was established in 1996 as a national accreditation body. This follows the recommendations of a European Union expert mission and consultation with various ministries. Objective: to promote quality movement in India and ensure quality in products, services, and processes. Non-profit organization. QCI is a non-profit organization registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860. Public-private partnership, it was created in collaboration with the Government of India and three major industry bodies, ASSOCHAM, CII, and FECI. Nodal Ministry, DPIIT, under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, is the nodal agency for QCI. Chairman. The chairman of QCI is appointed by the Prime Minister on the recommendations of the industry. The first chairman was Ratan Tata, and currently Jeksi Shah is holding this position. Main function of QCI. It is an independent national accreditation body that conducts third-party assessment of the quality of products, services, and processes. Role in Swachh Bharat Mission. QCI implements the Swachh Survey, in which cities are evaluated and ranked on the basis of hygiene and cleanliness. For example, in 2016 QCI released cleanliness rankings of 73 cities. World Accreditation Day. World Accreditation Day is celebrated every year on the 9th of June, which is a global initiative of International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation and International Accreditation Forum. It aims to promote the importance of accreditation. If you liked the video, then you can share this video with your friends preparing for IAS. ECINET App. Recently, it was used in the by-elections of 5 assembly seats in Kerala, Gujarat, Punjab, and West Bengal. ECINET is a new digital platform. It has been created to provide quick information about voter turnout, i.e. voting. Under the Election Rules 1961, Form 17C has to be submitted to the presiding officer. This form is given to the booth-level agents of political parties. These agents remain present at the polling station after the voting is over. The speciality of ECINET is that it updates voter turnout information every 2 hours. What is Form 17C? Form 17C is an official document which is prepared by the presiding officer under the Conduct of Elections Rules 1961. It gives complete information about the voting done at the polling station. It is given to booth-level agents appointed by political parties after polling is over. This helps in maintaining transparency. Form 17C has 2 parts. First part, it provides details of polling station-related data. Total number of voters registered at that polling station. Voters in voter register, number of voters as recorded in Form 17A, i.e. those who cast their vote. Voters who decided not to vote, the number of those people, those who did not come to the polling booth and vote, for example, those who chose nota, were voters prevented from voting, the number of those people, those who were not allowed to vote for some reason. Part 2. It provides information on the voting results. Candidate name, the name of each candidate at the polling station, number of votes received, total votes each candidate received. Key features of the ECINET app, near real-time polling updates. Now the presiding officer updates the voting information on ECINET app every 2 hours on the polling day. Earlier, this data was sent manually by sector officers via phone, SMS, or messaging apps, due to which there was a delay of 4 to 5 hours or more. Now this process has accelerated. If network is not available, data can be entered offline And when connectivity is available, it is uploaded. Data accuracy ensured. Only authorized Election Commission officials can enter data on the ECINET app. This eliminates the possibility of wrong or fake information if there is a dispute. So the data recorded in statutory documents like Form 17C is considered primary. This maintains transparency and credibility. Fast index card publication. The index card is a non-statutory post-election report which includes information on candidates, voters, vote count, party-wise vote share. There is detailed data on gender-based voting patterns and regional variations. It is useful for researchers, academics, and policymakers. Previously, it took weeks or months to produce index cards because the data was filled and verified manually. Most of the fields are now autofilled through ECINET, due to which the index card is published within 72 hours of the election results. The Karmyogi Programme. On the 27th of June 2025, the Ministry of Tribal Affairs launched the Karmyogi Programme by Union Minister Jwal Oram at the conclusion of a two-day national conference titled Innovation in New Delhi. The program further expanded with the Regional Process Lab to be held at Bengaluru on the 10th of July 2025 and at Bhopal on the 22nd of July 2025. What is Karmyogi Programme? It is a flagship initiative of the Ministry of Tribal Affairs which aims to improve governance at the grassroots level in tribal areas. This mission is built on the lines of Karmyogi, which is the national scheme of the Government of India for capacity building of civil servants. Salient features, objective, to create a cadre of motivated and dedicated officers, which adopts a citizen-centric approach for tribal development. The program focuses on bringing about a sea change in the attitude and motivation of ground-level officials so that they can serve the tribal communities better. Target: training 20 lakh stakeholders, which includes state, district and block-level officers and workers. To improve governance and service delivery in 1 lakh tribal villages and hamlets across the country. Training structure: 180 plus state-level master trainers, 3,000 district-level trainers, and 15,000 block-level trainers will be trained. These trainers will train the workers at the grassroots level so that the schemes can be implemented effectively. We will cover all the topics of international relations. India and Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Recently, on the 26th of June 2025, the SCO Defense Ministers meeting was held in Qingdao City of China. In this meeting, India refused to sign a joint declaration. This means that the meeting ended without any joint statement. According to the SCO rules, any decision is implemented only if when all member countries agree. If even one country objects, the statement is not issued. This happened because of India's refusal. SCO, i.e. Shanghai Cooperation Organization, is an international organization which was formed in 2001. It includes India, China, Russia, Pakistan and several Central Asian countries such as Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Iran and Belarus. Its objective is to ensure regional security, combat terrorism and enhance economic cooperation. India received observer status in the SCO in 2005 and full membership in 2017. Now the question is, why did India not sign the joint declaration? Double standards regarding terrorism. There was no mention of the recent Pahalgam terror attack in this document, but mention of terrorist activities in Balochistan, Pakistan was included. On the 22nd of April 2025, 26 people were killed in a terrorist attack in Pahalgam. Most of them were tourists. The responsibility for the attack was claimed by the Resistance Front, a faction of Lashkar-e-Taiba. India says that some countries use terrorism as their policy and give shelter to terrorists. SCO should not hesitate to criticize such countries. But ignoring the Pahalgam attack and mentioning Balochistan in the document was not acceptable to India. India's unshakable principles. India has always said that peace and terrorism cannot coexist. This is a non-negotiable principle of India. That means there can be no compromise on this. India clearly said in SCO that it is necessary to take a tough stand against terrorism. What strategic opportunities does SCO offer for India? Enhancing ties with Central Asia. The SCO includes Central Asian countries such as Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. India can use SCO to strengthen its relations with these countries. It also fulfills India's Connect Central Asia policy, whose aim is to increase trade, culture, and security cooperation with these countries. Economic and energy cooperation. Central Asian countries have abundant natural resources. For example, in 2022, Kazakhstan provided 43% of the world's uranium supply. India can increase cooperation with these countries for its energy needs, like in the field of oil, gas and uranium. Promoting regional connectivity. India can facilitate trade and transportation with SCO countries through projects like the International North-South Transport Corridor. INSTC connects India with Central Asia, Russia and Europe, which can make business faster and cheaper. Talks with Pakistan and China. There is tension between India and these countries, but SCO is such a platform where India can maintain diplomatic dialogue with them. Recently, at the SCO Defense Ministers meeting held in Qingdao in June 2025, India put forward its point strongly. This shows that India uses SCO to clarify its position. Now let's talk about India's concerns regarding SCO. Influence of China. China wants the SCO to become a China-dominated organization to promote projects such as its Belt and Road Initiative. India is not a part of BRI because it feels that this project can affect its sovereignty and strategic interests. Expansion of SCO. Recently, Belarus became the member of SCO. This increased the global influence of SCO, but its original focus, which was Central Asia, may be weakening. Joining of more countries can divert the attention of SCO, and member countries can look for cooperation elsewhere. Effectiveness of SCO. There is no guarantee that SCO decisions will be implemented. This organization sometimes becomes just a platform for discussions and statements, like non-movement. For example, instead of concrete action against terrorism, only statements are issued. Anti-Western image of SCO. Some consider SCO as a group against Western countries, especially the United States and Europe. The presence of countries like China, Russia and Iran further strengthens it. India does not want the SCO to be seen only as an anti-Western forum because India's stance is of a balanced foreign policy. How India balances its strategic autonomy and multilateral engagement in the SCO. Giving priority to national interests. India puts its interests above all in the SCO, especially when it comes to China's influence. For example, at the SCO summit in Pakistan in 2023, India refused to sign the section that supported China's Belt and Road Initiative. India is not a part of BRI because it feels that this can affect its sovereignty and strategic interests. Also, it shows India's stance against Pakistan-China alliance. India made it clear in SCO that it will not support any initiative which is against its interests. Selective involvement with principles. India actively participates in those aspects of the SCO which are in keeping with his principles. For example, the SCO's regional anti-terrorist structure cooperates against terrorism. India is fully involved in this because it has a very tough stand against terrorism, promoted development-focused platform. India wants the SCO not to be seen just as an anti-Western grouping. For this, India emphasizes on areas related to development in SCO. For example, SCO has subgroups for cooperation on traditional medicine and startups and innovation. India has shown activeness in these. In 2024, India hosted the SCO Startup Forum, in which more than 100 startups participated. This enabled India to present the SCO as a positive and development-oriented platform, leveraging strong ties with Russia. There is a historical friendship between India and Russia. In SCO, India cooperates with Russia on key agenda items. For example, the two countries work together on issues such as terrorism and regional security. In 2025, Russia put forward a proposal on energy cooperation within the SCO, which was supported by India. This enables India to play an effective role in the SCO while maintaining its autonomy. First, let's talk about its beginning. The SCO began in 1996 as the Shanghai 5 mechanism. Then in 2001 at the Shanghai conference it was made official by Russia, China, the Kyrgyz Republic, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Now, let us focus on its main objectives. First, to strengthen mutual trust, friendship, and good neighborliness among member countries. Second, maintaining peace, security, and stability in the region. Third, promote a new democratic, fair, and balanced international political and economic order. Next, let's talk about its member countries. These include China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, India, Pakistan, Iran, which joined in 2022. And recently, Belarus joined in 2024. Apart from this, there are also 3 observer states and 6 dialogue partners. Now understand the structure. The highest decision-making body is the Council of Heads of State. The second important body is the Council of Heads of Government. It has 2 permanent bodies. The Secretariat is in Beijing, China, and the RATS is in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. The United Nations General Assembly has granted observer status to SCO. We will understand the role of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Global importance of SCO. The SCO covers about 80% of the Eurasian landmass, that is, a large part of Europe and Asia. The countries included in it represent 42% of the world's population. This means that the SCO is a very large and influential group, making its mark on the global stage. Increase in economic strength. SCO member countries contribute around 25% of the global GDP. This includes big countries like India, China, and Russia. Challenge to Western dominance. SCO is emerging as an alternative to those multilateral forums which the Western countries created for their own interests, like NATO or G7. In SCO, China, Russia, India, and other countries are together creating such a system, which balances the influence of Western countries' role in the field of security. The withdrawal of the US-led NATO coalition from Afghanistan in 2021 left a security vacuum. SCO is trying to fill this void. For this, SCO created the Afghanistan Contact Group in 2005, which maintains regional cooperation with Kabul. In 2025, the SCO held a meeting under the ACG to discuss peace and reconstruction in Afghanistan. This further strengthened the role of SCO in regional security. If you like the video, then like it now. China-LED Trilateral Nexus. During the 6th China-South Asia Cooperation Forum in June 2025, China, Pakistan, and Bangladesh held their first trilateral meeting. It was aimed at promoting regional cooperation and connectivity, with China taking the lead. This is the second such initiative by China, because before this, in May 2025, China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan also held a trilateral meeting. These meetings include promoting the Belt and Road Initiative, extending the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor to Afghanistan, and strengthening regional connectivity networks. Also, some analyses have suggested a strategic alliance between China, Turkey, and Pakistan, especially their coordinated stance during the Pahalgam terror attack in April 2025. These alliances are challenging India's traditional influence and trying to create a strategic circle of influence from Afghanistan to the Bay of Bengal. Now the question is, why are these tripartite alliances being formed? There are four main reasons behind this. First, the historical factor. Both Pakistan and China have long-standing border disputes with India. The strategic partnership between the two countries deepened after the India-China War of 1962. Pakistan considers China a reliable ally, which gives it economic and military help against India. Second, China's aggressive regional policy. China is increasing its geopolitical influence in South Asia so that it can establish dominance in the region and gain access to the trade routes of the Indian Ocean. For example, China got access to Gwadar port through CPEC, which is part of his string of pearls strategy. Third, strategic balance against India. Countries like Bangladesh are using relations with China to reduce India's regional influence and increase their strategic autonomy. After the change of power in Bangladesh in 2024, the interim government there has increased cooperation with China, which has increased India's concerns. Fourth, infrastructure diplomacy. China is providing rapid and large-scale infrastructure funding to India's neighboring countries. For example, China's investment is growing in Bangladesh's Chittagong and Para ports. Due to this, these countries are getting attracted towards China. What are the concerns for India now? The first concern is geostrategic encirclement. China is increasing its control over several ports in the Indian Ocean under its string of pearls strategy, like Hambantota port of Sri Lanka, Gwadar of Pakistan, and Chittagong of Bangladesh. India's Chicken Neck region could be further vulnerable if Bangladesh territory is used to promote insurgency activities in India's northeast. The second concern is the weakening of India-supported regional forums. These tripartite alliances could reduce the influence of India-led groupings such as the Bay of Bengal initiative. The third concern is the reduction in regional influence. For example, Bangladesh wished to involve China in the Teesta River project, which has long been a subject of dispute between India and Bangladesh. The fourth concern is the impact on India's connectivity initiatives. The expansion of BRI and CPEC may impact India's own initiatives, such as the Bangladesh-Bhutan-India-Nepal initiative and the India-Middle East-Europe corridor. India has initiated projects like the Chabahar port and the International North-South Transport Corridor, but the extension of CPEC to Afghanistan is a strategic challenge for India. China's growing influence in South Asia. Pakistan. Pakistan depends on China for most of its weapons for its defense needs. For example, China has a major role in the JF-17 fighter jet and drone program. Maldives. China built the China-Maldives Friendship Bridge in the Maldives and invested in several housing projects. In 2024, the new government of Maldives signed a defense agreement with China, which has increased India's concerns. Nepal. China built Pokhara International Airport in Nepal and proposed trans-Himalayan connectivity projects like rail and road networks. These are bringing Nepal closer to China. Sri Lanka. China developed the Hambantota port and leased it for 99 years. This is part of the string of pearls strategy due to which China is increasing its influence in the Indian Ocean. Bangladesh. China has become Bangladesh's largest defense supplier. For example, in 2025, Bangladesh purchased 2 submarines from China. Also, Chinese investment in Chittagong and Pera ports is increasing. Now the question is, what strategy should India adopt? There are 5 main strategies for this. First, the answer comes from strategic partnerships. India should increase cooperation with countries like Japan, America, Australia. For example, Quad, which comprises India, the US, Japan and Australia, is a platform to balance China's influence in the Indo-Pacific region. In 2025, Quad conducted a joint exercise on maritime security and disaster relief, which strengthened India's position. Second, rapid implementation of development projects. India needs to speed up projects with its neighboring countries. The Ministry of External Affairs can create a special cell to coordinate projects with countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka. For example, India launched the Jellyfu Mindfulness City project with Bhutan in 2024, which could be a model. Third, Regional Development Fund. India should explore the possibility of creating a regional development fund for connectivity under regional forums such as BIMSTEC. This can provide funding to projects like roads, railways and ports. India proposed a Connectivity Master Plan 2025 under BIMSTEC, which is a step in this direction. Fourth, review of bilateral and multilateral forums. India should regularly review its regional forums such as BBIN and BIMSTEC to keep them in tune with changing regional circumstances. Also, India should make its Act East policy more effective. India accelerates Sitwe Port project with Myanmar to be completed in 2025, which is part of this policy. Fifth, cooperation through RIC. China and Russia have recently expressed a desire to revive the Russia-India-China Trilateral Forum, which began in the 1990s, but became inactive after the 2020 Galwan Valley clash. India should participate in RIC with caution so that it can maintain dialogue with China and also retain its autonomy. An initial meeting of the RIC was held in 2025, in which India emphasized on issues like terrorism and climate change. In conclusion, the China-Pakistan-Bangladesh Trilateral meeting in June 2025 is a major shift in the geopolitics of South Asia. India must adopt an active, inclusive and balanced foreign policy. For this, economic cooperation, strategic partnerships and cultural ties are necessary. India recently launched cultural exchange programs with Nepal and Bangladesh, which could help increase regional influence. You can watch the video of the 8th part of this magazine, Culture, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box and end screen. Israel-US-Iran conflict. Recently, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion. This was a big attack. This conflict is being referred to as the 12-Day War. The Israeli and American attacks dealt a major blow to Iran's nuclear program. But some experts say that Iran's nuclear program is not completely over. Iran also continued its retaliatory attacks. Israeli attacks. Israel attacked Iran's nuclear sites. The attack came after the IAEA, or International Atomic Energy Agency, said Iran had violated a 1974 agreement. This was the first time since 2006 that 35 member countries of the IAEA said so. Defense of Israel. Israel used its new air defense system, Barak Magan, or Lightning Shield, to avoid Iran's retaliatory strike. This system is very modern and helps in stopping missiles. Iran's response. Iran also retaliated and named it Operation True Promise 3. In this, Iran carried out missile and drone attacks on Israel. America's role. America also took part in this conflict. He launches Operation Midnight Hammer. In this, America carried out precise attacks on 3 nuclear sites of Iran, Natanz, Isfahan and Fordo. Natanz is Iran's main uranium enrichment center. In these attacks, America used GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator bomb. This is a special bomb which can go up to 200 feet below the ground and then explodes. It is very powerful and designed to destroy deep targets. India's stance. India appealed to both sides for peace. India said that no such step should be taken, which increases tension. Also, India did not participate in the discussions of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where Israeli attacks were condemned. What is Barak Magan or Lightning Shield? This is a special version of Israel's Barak MX missile defense system. It is designed to protect naval ships from aerial threats, like drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. The system works in conjunction with Israel's existing systems, Iron Dome, David's Sling, Arrow, and the future Laser Iron Beam. All these systems together protect Israel from missile and drone attacks. Global implications of Israel-US-Iran tensions. Nuclear tension. Global rules that prevent nuclear weapons attacks by Israel and the US, such as the NPT, are being weakened. Iran has stopped cooperating with the IAEA and plans to withdraw from the NPT. This means that Iran can openly make nuclear weapons. Trade and energy security. Iran passes resolution to close Strait of Hormuz. This waterway is very important because 35% of the world's seaborne oil and 20% of LNG passes through it. If it closes, oil and gas prices will rise, as will shipping costs. The danger of undersea cables. Many important internet cables pass near regions such as Israel, Iran, and the Red Sea, like Europe, India Gateway, and Flag. 3 cables were damaged in the Red Sea in 2024, which caused internet problems in Africa, Gulf, and South Asia. Void of power. If Iran weakens, so its influence will diminish in Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon. This may create new instability there. Iran exerts influence in these regions through its axis of resistance. Impact on India. Decline trade. India-Iran trade to drop from $14 billion in 2017 to $1.4 billion in 2024 because India stopped importing oil from Iran due to US sanctions. India-Israel trade is also expected to decline from $11 billion in 2022 to $3.75 billion in 2024. Diplomatic balance. India has good relations with both Israel and Iran. Israel is important in defense and technology, while Iran is important for energy and access to Central Asia. India has to maintain a balance between the two. Impact on projects. Projects like India's Chabahar port and the international North-South transport corridor may be affected. These are important for trade with Afghanistan and Central Asia. For example, Iranian attacks damaged Israel's Haifa port, which is part of the India-Middle East-Europe economic corridor. Geopolitical shifts. If Iran weakens, so America's influence will increase in West Asia. This may reduce the space for independent policy making for countries like India. Safety of Indian citizens. There are 28,000 Indians in Israel and 10,765 in Iran. As tensions escalate, their safety is at risk. India launched Operation Sindhu so that these people can be evacuated safely. Conclusion. Both Israel and Iran are important for India. This tension is a complex challenge for India. India is trying to maintain balance between the two countries through its diplomacy. You can watch the video of the 7th part of this magazine on science and technology on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button description box and end screen. Group of 7. The 51st G7 Summit will take place in Kananaskis, Alberta, Canada, in June 2025. G7 is a group of 7 large and developed countries. This includes Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. These countries meet every year to discuss global issues such as economy, security, and environment. India was invited as a guest country in this. India has been participating in the G7 summit for the last 6 consecutive years. However, it is not a member of it. During this summit, India and Canada decided to improve their relations. Both countries decided to send back their high commissioners quickly. Additionally, they restarted negotiations on the Early Progress Trade Agreement, or EPTA. This could be the first step toward a larger trade agreement in the future, called the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA. What were the main outcomes of the summit? Kananaskis Wildfire Charter. In this, a special plan was made to deal with forest fires. In this, emphasis was laid on use of local and tribal knowledge, proper management of forests, and making people aware. India also supported this charter. G7 Critical Minerals Action Plan. The plan is to secure and sustainable the supply of critical minerals such as lithium and cobalt. These minerals are very important for batteries and technology. India also supported this plan. 2 big steps on artificial intelligence, IEAI. G7 launches GovAI Grand Challenge, whose aim is to increase the proper use of AI in governments. Additionally, the G7 AI network, called GAIN, was created so that all countries could work together on AI. How did the G7 start? The G7 was started in 1975, when the world faced energy crisis. 7 major developed countries, France, Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, Japan, the United States, and Canada, created this group for economic and financial cooperation. Earlier it was called G6, then G7 was formed with the inclusion of Canada. Russia was part of it from 1998 to 2014. It was then called G8. But after Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, it was removed from the G7. The G7 meets every year to discuss global issues such as the global economy, international security, and energy policies. This is an informal group which takes major decisions. Why is the G7 important today? First, global security. For example, in the Ukraine crisis, the G7 imposed tough sanctions on Russia and provided Ukraine with financial aid from Russia's frozen assets. What about China? In 2025, the G7 condemned China's pressure towards Taiwan and removed mention of the One China policy. Also, the G7 launched the Global Infrastructure and Investment Partnership, a response to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Influence on international institutions. The G7 influences the agenda of organizations such as the United Nations, the IMF, and the World Bank. For example, it works with the OECD, G20 to improve tax rules so that companies cannot enjoy unfair tax advantages. Also, in 1989, the G7 created the Financial Action Task Force, which works to prevent money laundering. Sustainable and digital development. The G7 promotes the global partnership on artificial intelligence and the Hiroshima AI process. It emphasizes the ethical use of AI, data protection, and cybersecurity. Also, the G7 Climate Club works towards a net zero goal by 2050. Engagement with the Global South. The G7 calls on non-member countries like India, South Africa, Brazil to make sure that their voices are also heard. For example, India was the guest country at the G7 Summit 2025. Why is G7 called the Club of Democracies? The G7 supports a rules-based global order, human rights, and democratic values. It remains united against dictatorial countries like China and Russia. Example: India supported the Kananaskis Wildfire Charter and the Critical Minerals Action Plan at the 2025 G7 Summit. Also, India and Canada talked about increasing cooperation in areas such as trade and digital technology. What are the challenges facing the G7? The first challenge is reducing the economic impact. In the 1980s, the G7's share of global GDP was around 70%, which reduced to 44% by 2021. Emerging economies, such as China and India, are now driving economic growth, taking decisions by consensus. In G7, consent of all the countries is necessary, which hinders in taking quick decisions. For example, the 51st G7 summit in 2025 could not issue a strong statement on the Ukraine war because of US opposition. Lack of legal authority. The G7 is an informal grouping, which does not have a permanent secretariat or a binding legal framework. Implementation of its decisions depends on the will of the countries. As such, the Kananaskis Wildfire Charter of 2025 is voluntary. Low participation of the Global South. The G7 does not represent emerging countries such as India, Brazil, Indonesia, Nigeria, and groups such as the African Union. Competition from alternative groups. Groups like BRICS Plus are more inclusive than the G7 and better represent the Global South. Strategic interest for India in G7? Balance between the West and the Global South. India acts as a bridge between the developed countries of the G7 and the Global South. Economic and technical cooperation. India supports the G7's Global Infrastructure and Investment Partnership, which funds infrastructure investments in developing countries. Democracy and strategic importance. India is the world's 4th largest economy and a strong democracy. This makes his voice powerful in the G7. A platform for bilateral dialogue. For example, at the 2025 G7 summit, the Indian Prime Minister met the Canadian Prime Minister, taking a step towards improving relations. Conclusion. The G7 must be more inclusive and set the agenda in keeping with today's global order. These challenges are also opportunities for India. It can advocate for fair and inclusive decision-making and reduce the gap between the Global South and developed countries. If possible, please like the video and leave a good comment. This encourages us to make good videos. World Trade Organization reforms. Recently, there was a small ministerial meeting in Paris in 2025, where India demanded reforms in WTO. This meeting was to prepare for the 14th Ministerial Conference to be held in Cameroon in 2026. India says that WTO should be made more transparent, fair and helpful for developing countries so that everyone gets equal opportunity in global trade. First of all, what is the WTO? WTO, i.e. World Trade Organization, is an international organization that helps in making trade between countries easier and fairer. It was created following the Marrakesh Agreement in 1995. This was a new form of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, i.e. GATT, which already existed. To further improve the GATT, the Uruguay Round was negotiated from 1986 to 1994, leading to the creation of the WTO. It performs several important functions. First, it enforces trade agreements so that countries follow their rules. Second, it provides a platform for countries to negotiate new terms of trade among themselves. Third, if there is a dispute between two countries regarding trade, then WTO resolves it. Fourth, it reviews the trade policies of countries. And last, it helps developing countries become stronger in trade. 166 countries are its members, which covers 98% of the world's trade. India is also its member since 1995. How are decisions made? Decisions in the WTO are taken by consensus, meaning all countries have to agree. The Ministerial Conference, which meets every 2 years and makes major decisions. Its secretariat is in Geneva, Switzerland. First, the WTO has 3 major umbrella agreements: goods, services, and intellectual property. For goods, there is the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, i.e. GATT. This agreement sets tariffs and quotas on the import and export of goods between the countries, especially for agricultural products. For services, there is the General Agreement on Trade and Services. It covers sectors such as banking, communications, tourism, professional services internationally. For intellectual property, there is trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, i.e. TRIPS. It covers rights such as copyright, geographical indications, industrial designs, patents. Now let's look at additional guidelines and principles. For goods, there is the Agreement on Agriculture, Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures Agreement, Anti-Dumping Agreement, and Trade-Related Investment Measures, i.e. TRIMS. For services, MFN means Most Favored Nation treatment, equal access for all, market entry and national treatment. For intellectual property, there is equal treatment for R and foreign nationals, i.e. MFN treatment. Recently, in July 2025, the WTO has discussed new trade policies with some countries that will make the trade of goods and services easier. What does India want to do to make it even better? First, non-tariff barriers or NTBs, which prevent access to the market, such as import licenses, technical standards, or complex customs procedures. These things make business difficult, and India wants to reduce these. Second, the problems arising from non-market economies. For example, in countries like China, the government supports its companies so much that competition in the market deteriorates. Current WTO rules cannot completely prevent these problems. India wants strict rules to be made on these. Third, fix the WTO's dispute settlement system. The system has been stalled since 2016 because the US is opposing appointments to the appeals body. India wants this system to be restarted so that trade disputes are resolved quickly. But India does not trust the multi-party interim appeal arbitration arrangement, i.e. MPIA. Now some more important demands. India is cautious about joint statement initiatives, i.e. JSIs. These are agreements in which only a few countries participate, due to which there may be injustice to other countries. Some countries want JSs to be incorporated into broader WTO rules. But India opposes it because it can break the unity of WTO. For example, India refused to participate in the China-led investment facilitation talks, permanent solution for food grain storage programs. A temporary peace clause was put in place in 2013, under which developing countries can provide subsidies for their food storage without facing a legal challenge in the WTO. India wants to make it permanent. Fishing problems. An agreement was reached on fishing in 2022, but it could not be implemented because 2/3 of the member countries did not agree. India is not a party to this agreement, and that has raised some concerns. For example, 25 years transition period for developing countries. Also, the principle of polluter pays and common but differentiated responsibility means that countries that previously provided more subsidies and fished more extensively should have greater responsibility. Which issues are the subject of debate in the WTO? There are no clear criteria to define the status of developing countries. India opposes any change to the special and differential treatment, whereas countries like America oppose China, calling itself a developing country. This is a big controversy. Now some emerging issues. First, regulatory changes. For example, the EU's carbon border adjustment mechanism, which will disproportionately impact low and middle-income countries. This will make it costly and complicated for them to comply with the rules. Second, geopolitical changes in protectionist policies. For example, the tariff war between the US and China, which affects global trade. Third, new concepts, such as data privacy, cross-border data flows, taxes on digital services, and climate change. International cooperation is needed on these. What is the way forward? First, developing countries must have their say in decision-making. Their concerns such as cultural subsidies and intellectual property need to be addressed. Second, strengthen the monitoring and reporting system on non-tariff barriers, IENTBs, so that transparency increases and misuse reduces. Third, create clear rules to prevent spillovers from plurilateral agreements, so that they do not undermine the multilateral system. Fourth, exploring alternative temporary models for dispute resolution. Fifth, preventing trade distortions caused by government companies and industrial subsidies, so that there is a level playing field for all. Sixth, adopt principles such as the Paris Agreement's common but differentiated responsibilities to avoid undue trade pressures on developing countries. Finally, the WTO has played a major role in promoting rules-based global trade, but non-tariff barriers, trade distortions, and a stalled dispute settlement mechanism are undermining its effectiveness. India's reform demands reflect the aspirations of many developing and least developed countries that want a fair, transparent, and inclusive trading system. You can watch the video of the fourth part of this magazine, Security, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box, and end screen. Economic Community of West African States. This year, ECOWAS celebrated its 50th anniversary, so it is in the news. What does ECOWAS mean? It is a regional organization of West African countries. It was established on the 28th of May, 1975 by 15 countries through the Lagos Treaty. Its headquarters is in Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. As of June 2025, there are 12 countries in ECOWAS. These are Benin, Cabo Verde, Côte d'Ivoire, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and Togo. Previously, it also included Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, but he left ECOWAS in January 2025. Its main goal is to promote economic integration in West Africa. It seeks to improve people's quality of life, maintain economic stability, strengthen relations between member countries, and contribute to the development of the whole of Africa. ECOWAS created a free trade area in 1990 and implemented a common external tariff in January 2015. Now let's talk about the relations between India and ECOWAS. India is an observer in ECOWAS since 2004. ECOWAS has supported India's claim for permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. There is also South-South cooperation between India and ECOWAS. India has helped in the regional development of West Africa. For example, there is an agreement between ECOWAS's Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency and India's International Solar Alliance, which increases cooperation on renewable energy. In terms of economic cooperation, in 2006, India extended a $250 million line of credit to ECOWAS to support India's Focus Africa program. This program was started in 2002-03 so that the areas of trade and investment between India and Africa can be promoted. Finally, ECOWAS is entering its 6th decade. And it is at a crucial juncture. It has achieved much in integration, peace building, and human development, but issues such as internal fragmentation, political instability, and distance from citizens are challenging its future. You can watch the video of the first part of this magazine, Polity and Governance, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box, and end screen. UN Security Council. This year, 5 new non-permanent members have been elected: Bahrain, Colombia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Latvia, and Liberia. These countries will fulfill their responsibilities in the UNSC. What is UNSC? UNSC, i.e. United Nations Security Council. It is one of the 6 main organs of the United Nations. It was created in 1945 under the UN Charter. Its main objective is to maintain peace and security in the world. There are a total of 15 members in it. There are 5 permanent members. Those called P5 are America, Russia, China, Britain, and France. The remaining 10 are non-permanent members who are elected every 2 years. Now let's talk about reform in the UNSC. The G4 countries, India, Brazil, Germany, and Japan, have proposed changes to the UNSC. But why? First, there is abuse of veto power by permanent members. Second, regional representation is low. Third, it does not accurately reflect today's global situation. What are the proposed reforms? Increasing the number of members. It is proposed to have 11 permanent and 14 to 15 non-permanent members. Regional equality. Regions such as Africa, Asia-Pacific, Latin America and the Caribbean, and Western Europe will be given 6 new permanent seats. The new permanent members will not initially have veto power. This rule will be reviewed after 15 years. Now some recent news. Pakistan has been elected chair of the UNSC's Taliban Sanctions Committee for 2025 and vice chairman of the Counter-Terrorism Committee. What is the Taliban Sanctions Committee? This committee was formed in 2011 under UNSC Resolution 1988. Its job is to monitor sanctions on individuals, groups, or organizations linked to the Taliban that threaten the peace and stability of Afghanistan. What is the Counter-Terrorism Committee? The committee was formed in 2001 under UNSC Resolution 1373 after the 9/11 attacks. It includes all 15 members of the UNSC. Its job is to monitor countries' efforts against terrorism, such as stopping terrorism financing, freezing funds linked to terrorists, and sharing intelligence between countries. UN Economic and Social Council. India has been elected as a member of ECOSOC for the term 2026 to 2028. How is membership divided? ECOSOC's membership is divided into 5 regional groups: Africa, Asia-Pacific, Eastern Europe, Latin America and the Caribbean, and Western Europe and other countries. India has been selected under the Asia-Pacific group, which also includes China, Lebanon, and Turkmenistan. There were 4 seats for this group. What does ECOSOC mean? Its headquarters is in New York, America. ECOSOC is one of the 6 main organs of the United Nations. It was established in 1945. There are a total of 54 members in it. He is elected by the United Nations General Assembly for a term of 3 years. Every year, 18 new members are elected. What is the purpose of ECOSOC? These councils work in 3 main areas: economic, social, and environmental development. This means that it promotes sustainable development. It coordinates the work of various bodies and specialized agencies of the United Nations. In addition, it provides policy recommendations to the UN and its member countries. You can watch all the videos of this month's magazine from this playlist. US pulls funding from Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. In June 2025, US Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said at a Gavi funding event that Gavi and the WHO had ignored questions about the safety of vaccines. He said the US would not provide funding until Gavi reconsidered the safety of vaccines. Gavi responded that their priority is the protection of children and that they work based on WHO recommendations. What is Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance? Gavi is an international organization which was built in 2000. It aims to ensure children in the world's poorest countries have access to new and underutilized vaccines. The organization works closely with partners such as WHO, UNICEF, the World Bank, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Gavi has helped vaccinate 1.1 billion children so far and prevented approximately 19 million deaths. America's tendency to withdraw from global alliances. In recent years, the United States has distanced itself from many global alliances and institutions, such as World Health Organization, Paris Climate Agreement, United Nations Human Rights Council, United Nations Relief and Works Agency. America is a global superpower, therefore its withdrawal from these organizations would have a major impact on international governance. Effects of US withdrawal. Now let us see what impact this move by America can have. Weakening of the multilateral system. America's withdrawal from global organizations undermines the rules-based world order. For example, Israel has also withdrawn its participation from the UN Human Rights Council. This could reduce global cooperation. Impact on climate action. 2024 was set to be the hottest year ever recorded. The United States is the world's second-largest greenhouse gas emitter. Withdrawing from the Paris Agreement could undermine global efforts against climate change. Lack of funding for health. The US used to provide approximately 15% of WHO's total funding. Withdrawing funding from Gavi would affect vaccination programs in poor countries. Gavi estimates that this could result in 75 million children missing out on routine immunization over the next 5 years, due to which the lives of more than 12 lakh children could be in danger. Leadership vacuum. US withdrawal could create a leadership vacuum, which can be filled by countries like China. This may reduce the influence of countries like India in decision-making in global organizations. International Organization for Mediation. China formally ratifies the treaty establishing the IOMED, The organization could start work by the end of this year or early 2026. This will strengthen Hong Kong as an international dispute resolution hub and promote global peace. What does IOMED mean? IOMED is an international organization which was formally established by China in Hong Kong in May 2025. It will be headquartered at the old police station in Wan Chai, Hong Kong, which is currently undergoing renovating. This organization is the world's first intergovernmental organization, created specifically to resolve international disputes through arbitration. What is the purpose of IOMED? IOMED's main goal is to resolve international disputes peacefully through mediation. This follows Article 33 of the UN Charter, which says that disputes should be settled through negotiation and arbitration. This organization focuses on leaving behind a win-lose mentality and finding beneficial solutions for all parties. IOMED members: 33 countries signed the agreement to establish IOMED and became its founding members. These include China, Indonesia, Pakistan, Belarus, Cambodia, Laos, Serbia, Algeria, Sudan and Djibouti. Most member countries are from Asia, Africa and the Caribbean region, which shows that this organization is focused on non-Western countries. Representatives from 85 countries and 20 international organizations such as the United Nations attended the signing ceremony. What disputes will IOMED resolve? IOMED will work on 3 types of disputes. Disputes between countries, such as border disputes or diplomatic issues. Disputes between a country and citizens of another country, such as matters relating to investments. International commercial disputes, such as business differences between private companies. These services are voluntary and will be provided with the consent of all parties. If you like the video, then you can share this video with your friends preparing for IAS. India-Kyrgyzstan Bilateral Investment Treaty. On the 5th of June 2025, in New Delhi, Finance Minister of India Nirmala Sitharaman and Foreign Minister of Kyrgyzstan Zinbek Kulubayev Moldokanovic signed the protocol and exchanged documents of ratification to bring the treaty into force. What is India-Kyrgyzstan BIT? India and Kyrgyzstan signed a new bilateral investment treaty in Bishkek on the 14th of June 2019. This treaty has come into force from June 5, 2025. This new treaty replaces the old treaty of the 12th of May 2000, so that there is continuity in the protection of investment between the two countries. What is the purpose of BIT? The objective of this treaty is to promote and protect the interests of investors of both the countries. This strikes a balance between investor rights and government regulatory powers of both countries. Also, it creates a transparent and strong investment environment which will enhance economic cooperation between the two countries. What are the main features of BIT? Definition of property. The definition of investment in this treaty is enterprise-based. Here is a list of included and excluded properties. The characteristics of investment include capital invested, expectation of profits, risk, and contribution to the development of the host country. Example, this includes shares, bonds, licenses, and long-term contracts. But claims related to portfolio investments, government debt, and business sales are not included. Policy exemptions. The treaty excludes matters such as local government, government procurement, taxes, and compulsory licensing. This gives the government freedom to make its own policies. Most favored nation clause removed. Earlier, under the MFN clause, investors could take advantage of better provisions of other treaties of the host country. Removing it would provide equal treatment to all investors, which will bring stability in policies. General and security exceptions. The treaty includes the following general exceptions, such as protecting the environment, public health, safety, and maintaining public order. Security exceptions include protecting the nation's essential security interests. This gives policy flexibility to the government. Dispute resolution mechanism. Investors will first have to seek resolution in local courts or administrative bodies. If there is no solution in 3 years, so the way for international arbitration opens. This promotes alternative dispute resolution. You can understand this better through this graphic. International Organization for Marine Aids to Navigation. At the second session of the IALA Council, held in June 2025 in Nice, France, India, contributed to discussions on lighthouse protection, IoT protocols, and maritime security. India invited all member countries to the 2025 and 2027 events to be held in Mumbai. What does IALA mean? IALA was established in 1957 as a non-governmental organization, whose name was International Association of Marine Aids to Navigation and Lighthouse Authorities. In August 2024, following ratification by 34 countries, it became an intergovernmental organization. It is headquartered in Saint-Germain-en-Laye, near Paris, France. Structure of IALA. General Assembly meets every 4 years and sets the priorities of the organization. Council. the executive body of 24 members, which meets twice a year and takes decisions. India is its member since 1980. Membership, IALA has 200 members, which includes 80 national authorities and 60 commercial companies. IALA's main objective is to ensure the safe, economical and efficient movement of ships by improving and harmonizing maritime navigation means throughout the world. Its slogan is, Successful Voyages, Sustainable Planet, which emphasizes safe travel and environmental protection. What is the scope of IALA? Harmonizing global navigation systems, standardizing vessel traffic services such as lighthouses, buoys, and digital systems, promoting maritime security to reduce maritime accidents and safeguard life and property. Collaboration, working together with member states, international organizations and industries to address challenges to maritime security and environmental protection. Technological innovation, promoting modern solutions such as IoT and digital navigation. Training and assistance, providing training, especially to enable developing countries to take advantage of new navigation technologies. Zangezur Corridor, Turkey has urged Armenia and Azerbaijan to take steps to open the Zangezur Corridor. On June 20, 2025, Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan met with Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Istanbul. During this, the Zangezur Corridor was discussed. According to some unconfirmed reports, Armenia, Azerbaijan and Turkey have agreed on this corridor, but there is no official confirmation. What is the Zangezur Corridor? The Zangezur Corridor is a proposed 43 kilometers long transport route that will pass through Armenia's Shunik province. Armenia and Azerbaijan have been in dispute over Nagorno-Karabakh since 1917. In Armenia, it is called Artsakh. The region is internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, but mostly ethnic Armenians live here. Following the Second Karabakh War of 2020, Azerbaijan regained control of the region. In the November 2020 ceasefire agreement, Armenia promised to open a transport route between Azerbaijan and Nakhchivan, but there are differences in how to implement it. It is intended to link the Azerbaijani port of Baku on the Caspian Sea to the western part of Azerbaijan, the Nakhchivan Autonomous Region, which is different from the land of Armenia. This route will further go to Turkey. It will be a geopolitical route linking Turkey to Central Asia and China, which is seen as unifying the Turkic world. It is part of the Middle Corridor, which will provide a shorter and safer route for transporting goods from China to Europe. India's concerns. The Zangezur Corridor may impact India's investments in the Chabahar port and the International North-South Transport Corridor. This corridor will provide an alternative route, which could make India's route less important. This could weaken India's regional influence and its position in trade with Central Asia and Europe. E-Passport. On the 24th of June 2025, External Affairs Minister Drive South, Jaishankar launched Passport Seva 2.0. He described it as a symbol of service, good governance and welfare of the poor. From March-April this year, new passports are being issued as e-passports. 1.5 crore passports and related services have been provided so far in 2025, which is 10% more than last year. What is e-passport? E-passport is a passport that is a mix of paper and electronic technology. It contains a radio frequency identification chip and an antenna, which is embedded inside the passport. This chip securely stores the passport holder's personal information and biometric data, such as name, passport number, date of birth, photograph, and fingerprints. E-passport technology. Public key infrastructure technology is used for its security. This chip is encrypted so that the passport can be protected from forgery and fraud. It complies with the standards of International Civil Aviation Organization, due to which it is valid all over the world. Benefits of e-passport. It is very difficult to copy or change the data in the chip. Contactless scanning at immigration counters makes passport checks faster, which saves time. These passports are accepted globally and work at automated e-gates. Advanced encryption technology keeps data secure, due to which the risk of fake passports is reduced. In this video, we will cover all these topics of security. 5th generation fighter jet Mk. Recently, our Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has approved a special plan for AMCA, which is called the execution model. This means that now the path to making this aircraft has become clearer. This is a matter of pride for India, because this will be our own 5th generation fighter aircraft. AMCA is a very modern fighter aircraft of India, which we will make ourselves. The approval for its construction was given by the Cabinet Committee on Security IECCS in 2024. Its objective is to make the Indian Air Force stronger so that our air power becomes the best in the world. The first prototype of this aircraft, i.e., the initial model, will be ready by 2028-29. The target to fully incorporate it into the Air Force is by 2034-35. That means it will take some time to make it. AMC will come in two variants. The first is the AMCA Mk1, which will be powered by the US-made GEF 414 engine. The second is the AMCA Mk2, which has our own built-in. It will have an even more powerful engine. This shows that India is not only making aircraft, but he is also improving his technology. This project is being led by the Aeronautical Development Agency IEADA, which works under DRDO. DRDO, i.e. Defense Research and Development Organization, which develops defense technologies of India. Earlier, the work of making such aircraft was given only to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, i.e. HAL. But now a new method has been adopted for AMCA. Now both private and public companies can participate in this project. They can bid for it alone or together, i.e. by forming a joint venture or consortium. But there is a condition. All the companies must be Indian and follow Indian rules. What are the generations of fighter jets? The idea of dividing fighter jets into generations came up in the 1990s. This was also implemented on older aircraft, meaning there is a big change in technology in every generation. When a new technology is so special that it cannot be incorporated into older aircraft by upgrading them, a new generation begins. First-generation fighter jets first appeared at the end of World War II. These jets were faster than older piston-engined aircraft, but most flew at subsonic speeds, i.e. less than the speed of sound. Fifth-generation fighters are the most advanced in service today. They offer twin-engine power. These planes have two engines. If an engine breaks down, especially at night, the second engine keeps the plane safe. This increases air safety, stealth capability. These aircraft come with low probability of intercept radar. This means that it is very difficult for them to be detected by enemy radar. They are almost invisible. Agile body with supercruise. These planes are very fast and agile. They can fly at supersonic speeds without afterburner. Additionally, their high maneuverability helps them move easily in the air. Advanced avionics. These have very high-tech systems, such as electronic communications, targeting, and control systems. These give the pilot better control in every situation. Integrated computer systems. These systems connect the aircraft to other systems. This gives the pilot a 360-degree battlefield view. That means he gets complete information about the surroundings without rotating the plane. Very expensive. These planes are very expensive to manufacture and maintain. But their power and technology make it necessary. Only 3 countries have currently built fully functional 5th-generation aircraft: US, F-22, and F-35 Russia, Sukhoi Su-57 China, Chengdu J-20. Several countries such as the United States, China, Russia, the UK, Japan, Italy, France, Germany, and Spain are working on 6th-generation fighter aircraft. These planes will be even more modern. The main points in these will be artificial intelligence. These aircraft will take quick decisions with the help of AI and make the work of the pilot easier. Hypersonic capability. They will be able to fly many times faster than the speed of sound. Unmanned capability. These can be flown even without a pilot. These planes are being prepared for future wars, and India will also have to think in this direction. Strategic importance of AMCA. Now let's talk about why India's AMCA is so special. This is not just an aircraft but a big step towards increasing the strength of our Air Force and the country. Let us understand this. Modernization of the Indian Air Force. The old aircraft of our Air Force like MiG-29 and Mirage are gradually being retired. This has reduced the strength of our squadron. Right now we have 31 squadrons, whereas the approval is for 42 squadrons. AMCA will fill this gap and make the Air Force strong again. Response to regional threats. The power of our neighboring countries is increasing. China has the 5th-generation J-20 aircraft, and Pakistan has purchased J-10C aircraft from China. The AMCA will counter these threats and give India an edge in aerial warfare. Technical independence. AMCA will help India reduce its dependence on foreign aircraft. Currently, we purchase many weapons and aircraft from foreign countries. With AMCA, we will rely on our technology, which will promote Make in India. Self-reliant India. The AMCA project will enhance India's defense capabilities. It will not only manufacture aircraft but will also strengthen our aerospace industry. This will create new jobs and our companies will earn a name in the world. Conclusion: AMCA is not just an aircraft for India, but a symbol of our strength, self-reliance and future. This will strengthen our Air Force, will respond to regional threats, and will make us technologically independent. But for this, the government, industry and defense organizations will have to work together. If you liked the video, then like it now. Silver Notice. Interpol has issued the first silver notice on India's request. The notice is to track the global assets of a former French embassy official named Shubham Shokin, who is wanted in a visa fraud case. Purpose of the Silver Notice. The Silver Notice is Interpol's new color-coded notice. The purpose of Interpol's notices is to share important information related to crime with police around the world. Its main purpose is to trace the properties of escaped criminals or main accused, even if those properties are abroad. This includes property, vehicles, bank accounts, and business. This notice helps countries to cooperate with each other so that such assets can be seized or recovered. First use. Interpol issued the first silver notice in January 2025 at the request of Italy. India first used it in May 2025 against Shubham Shokin. Limit: each country can issue a maximum of 9 silver notices during this period. India issued 2 silver notices on May 23, 2025 against Shubham Shokin, who was involved in visa fraud. On May 26, 2025 against Amit Madanlal Lakhanpal, who are accused of cryptocurrency fraud. Case of Shubham Shokin. Shubham Shokin was a personal visa and local law officer at the French embassy in Delhi. From September 2019 to May 2022, he, along with others, took bribes ranging from 15 lakh rupees to 45 lakh rupees for issuing Schengen visas. With the money obtained from this crime, he bought 6 properties worth 15.73 crore rupees in Dubai. The CBI had earlier issued a blue notice to trace his whereabouts, and now his assets are being tracked with a silver notice. About Interpol. Headquarters: Lyon, France. Established, began as the International Criminal Police Commission in Vienna in 1923 and became Interpol in 1956. Members: 196 countries, of which India is a founding member. National Central Bureau. Every country has a contact point for Interpol. In India, CBI is its NCB. CBI has also created Bharatpol portal so that there is better coordination with Interpol. Key bodies: General Assembly and Executive Committee. Other Interpol notices. Interpol has 9 color-coded notices. Red, to capture a fugitive. Blue, for information on someone's whereabouts. Black, for identification of unidentified bodies. Yellow, to find missing people. Silver notice is new and special among these because it focuses on assets. You can watch the video of the first part of this magazine, Polity and Governance, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box and end screen. Successful trial RUDRASTRA conducted at Pokhran, Rajasthan. Rudrastra is a hybrid drone which has been made by a company named Solar Defense and Aerospace Limited. It has been specially designed for the Indian Army. This drone was tested on the 11th of June 2025 at Pokhran firing range in Rajasthan. In this test, Rudrastra showed many of its special features. The first speciality is its vertical takeoff and landing. That is, it can fly straight up and land down like a helicopter. For this, it does not need a runway. This makes it very special, especially in areas where space is limited. Secondly, its range is amazing. It can fly up to 50 kilometers. And if we talk about circling over the target, then its total range is 170 kilometers. Not only this drone can stay in the air for about 1.5 hours. The third feature is its real-time surveillance. This means that this drone can send live video. That means whatever it sees, it can immediately show it to the army on the ground. This makes it easier to keep an eye on enemy movements. Fourth, this drone is capable of hitting the target with great precision. It is equipped with special weapons which are fired from medium altitude and can target enemy soldiers with precision. In the test conducted in Pokhran, it used a special weapon which can cause huge damage by exploding in the air. And most importantly, this drone can return to the launch point on its own. That is, after completing the mission, it does not require any human. It comes back automatically. After facing drone attacks in the recent Operation Sindoor, India is now rapidly incorporating such drones into its army. This is a major achievement which shows the strength of our technology and army. You can watch all the videos of this month's magazine from this playlist. Exercises and News. Exercise Conquest. This year, in 2025, a contingent of the Indian Army has reached Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, in order to take part in this exercise. The exercise took place from the 14th of June to the 28th of June 2025. It is jointly organized by the Mongolian Armed Forces and the US Indo-Pacific Command. It includes armies of 24 countries. It began in 2003 as a bilateral exercise between the United States and Mongolia, but since 2006 it has become a multinational exercise, and this year it is its 22nd edition. Its aim is to prepare the Indian Army for peace missions under Chapter 7 of the United Nations. Chapter 7 is a rule of the United Nations which allows action to be taken against threats to world peace, breaches of the peace, or aggression. It includes military and non-military measures such as sanctions or peace restoration. The Indian Army contingent consists of 40 soldiers, in which most of the soldiers are from Kumaon Regiment. The special thing is that it also includes a woman officer and 2 women soldiers, which shows the inclusiveness of the Indian Army. If you like the video, then you can share this video with your friends preparing for IAS. PASEX 2025 is a joint naval exercise which took place between the Indian Navy and the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom in the North Arabian Sea. The exercise took place on 9 and the 10th of June 2025. The exercise involved a stealth frigate named INS Tabor, a submarine, and P-8I long-range maritime patrol aircraft from the Indian Navy. PASSEX means passage exercise, which takes place between the navies of 2 friendly countries when their ships meet each other at sea. Its aim is to increase coordination and cooperation between the 2 navies. In this video, we will cover all these topics of environment. Agroforestry. The government released model rules for felling of trees in agricultural lands in June 2025. Its purpose is to make agroforestry easier. That means promoting the planting of trees on agricultural land and their care. This will increase the income of farmers, benefit the environment, and reduce wood imports. Now, what do these rules include? First, land registration. Farmers have to register their agricultural land on the National Timber Management System portal. In this, information like ownership of the land, location, species of trees, and date of plantation has to be given. This digital system will bring transparency. Second, the process of cutting down trees. If more than 10 trees are to be cut, so you will have to apply online. An agency will go and inspect the land, and then permission for felling will be given. If there are 10 or fewer trees, so you just have to upload the photos of the trees and also provide the photo of the stump after cutting. With this, permission will be obtained easily. Third, certification and transportation of wood. These rules will create a digital record of the validity of wood, due to which farmers will get better prices, especially in markets like Europe, where proof of the origin of wood is required. This will boost exports. What is agroforestry? This is a system in which trees and shrubs are grown alongside crops and livestock in farms and rural areas. Its aim is to increase agricultural productivity, profitability, diversity, and environmental sustainability. This has been said in the National Agroforestry Policy of 2014. The aim of this policy is to encourage the planting of trees in the field so that there is coordination between crop and animal husbandry. This will benefit farmers more, and the environment will also be safe. About 8% of India's geographical area comes under agroforestry. That means, in many farms in our country, trees and crops are growing together. Importance of agroforestry. Agricultural development. Agroforestry can boost sustainable agriculture growth by up to 4%. This will increase the income of farmers and strengthen agriculture. Miscellaneous effects. It fulfills many of our needs. Nearly half of the country's timber demand, 60% of raw material for the paper and pulp industry, and 9 to 11% of green fodder for animals is met from agroforestry. Food security. Agroforestry can increase crop yields by an average of 51%. This reduces the risk of crop damage. Additionally, it improves the nutrition, health, and sustainability of communities. Sustainable development. Agroforestry is also very beneficial for the environment. Carbon capture. It can absorb 13.7 to 27.2 tons of carbon dioxide per hectare per year. This helps in fighting climate change. Soil health. Trees increase the amount of carbon in the soil. For example, The soil carbon content of wheat and mung bean crops was 0.62%, but with poplar trees it increased to 1.14%. Additionally, it also reduces the salt content in the soil. Climate-smart farming. Agroforestry can withstand extreme weather events such as flooding. This reduces losses to agriculture. Environmental benefits. This reduces pressure on natural forests, allows better recycling of nutrients, prevents soil erosion, and controls water flow. Trees outside the forest. Agroforestry helps a lot in increasing the number of trees outside the forest. Other benefits. This creates new employment opportunities. Also, imports of wood for furniture and construction are reduced, due to which the country becomes self-reliant. Challenges of agroforestry. First, policy shortcomings. There is no agroforestry tree manual for farmers, which makes it difficult to choose the right tree. There is less focus on high-tech systems like aquaforestry. Second, restrictive rules. Obtaining permits to cut trees and sell wood is complicated and involves taxes at multiple stages. Third, low usage of the National Transit Pass system. This online system is for transportation of wood and bamboo, but 82% of the applications come only from West Bengal, Telangana and Jammu and Kashmir. The rest of the states are lagging behind. Fourth, shortage of high-quality seeds. There is a shortage of good seeds and planting material. Fifth, the shortcomings of previous policies. Earlier, more emphasis was given on some trees like poplar, eucalyptus, which are not completely suitable for the climate and soil of India. For example, eucalyptus requires a lot of water. Sixth, other problems. Lack of marketing infrastructure, institutional finance and insurance are also barriers. Conclusion. Simplifying regulations to promote agroforestry. There is a need to make better use of NTPS and bring in next-generation systems. This will create a balance between profit, production and environmental protection. Recently, in June 2025, the government released the Model Rules 2025, which are a step towards solving these problems. International Conference on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure 2025. Recently, the African Union announced India's joining the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure at the 7th ICDRI conference in France. CDRI was launched by India in 2019 and now has 54 members. The inclusion of the African Union will strengthen CDRI. More information about the conference. ICDRI 2025 calls for enhancing resilience of coastal areas for small island developing states. SIDS are small island countries which are greatly affected by sea level rise, storms and climate change. CDRI is helping to build stronger homes, schools, hospitals and power systems in these countries. ICDRI, a part of CDRI, is a platform for discussion and action on climate adaptation, coastal resilience and sustainable development. This conference brings together experts, policymakers and leaders from around the world. This year's conference took place on 6th and the 7th of June 2025 in Nice, France. This is the first time ICDRI is held in Europe and is jointly hosted by CDRI and the government of France. The theme of the conference is Shaping a Resilient Future for Coastal Regions. Coastal areas are home to 37% of the world's population and contribute $1.5 trillion to global GDP. But these areas are at high risk from storms, flooding, and sea level rise. Why are coastal areas vulnerable? First, danger to human life and property. More than 60% of the world's population lives in coastal areas, and 2/3 of the big cities are also here. In India, around 25 crore people live within 50 kilometers radius of the coast. These areas are at great risk from natural disasters such as hurricanes, floods, and tsunamis. Second, climate change. Climate change is causing sea levels to rise, increasing the intensity and number of storms and floods. Due to this, the danger in coastal areas has increased further. Third, economic loss. For example, Cyclone Fani in 2019 caused approximately $1.2 billion in damage to power infrastructure in Odisha. This information is from the Global Assessment Report 2025. Fourth, threats to ecology and biodiversity. Rising sea levels and increasing numbers of storms pose a major threat to mangrove forests. It is estimated that by 2100, half of the world's mangroves will be at serious risk. Mangroves protect coasts from erosion and are important for biodiversity. Fifth, social vulnerabilities. Coastal disasters exacerbate inequalities for already vulnerable communities, such as the elderly and indigenous communities such as fishermen. These communities find it more difficult to recover from disasters. Major coastal hazards. Tsunami. The 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami killed more than 2.3 lakh people in 14 countries, left millions homeless, and caused massive damage to coastal areas. India was also greatly affected by this. Storm. In 2024, Cyclone Remal caused massive devastation in the coastal areas of India and Bangladesh. Storm surge. In 2023, a storm tide of 2 to 2.5 meters high inundated low-lying areas in Kutch and Morbi districts of Gujarat. This information is from the India Meteorological Department. Coastal erosion. According to the Ministry of Environment, 33.6% of India's coast is at risk of erosion. This causes damage to land, homes and livelihoods. What is CDRI? CDRI was launched by India in 2019 at the United Nations Climate Action Summit. It is a global alliance of national governments, United Nations agencies, multilateral development banks, and the private sector, strengthening infrastructure against climate and disaster risks and promoting sustainable development. It has 56 members, and its secretariat is in New Delhi, India. CDRI releases the Global Infrastructure Resilience Report. Its governing council is co-chaired by representatives of the two countries, with India as the permanent co-chair. Major initiatives of CDRI. Infrastructure for resilient island states. These are to build resilient, sustainable and inclusive infrastructure in small island developing states. Helps protect SIDS from threats such as storms, sea level rise. Infrastructure Resilience Accelerator Fund, launched in collaboration with UNDP and UNDRR. It supports global action for disaster resilience of infrastructure. Initiatives to reduce India's coastal vulnerabilities. Coastal Regulation Zone Notification 2019. To conserve coastal and marine areas and ensure livelihoods of fishermen and local communities. Integrated Coastal Zone Management Project, applicable in states like Odisha and West Bengal, protects coastal and marine environments through sustainable practices. Coastal Vulnerability Index. It was created by the Indian National Centre for Ocean Information Services. It assesses and maps the vulnerabilities of coastal areas based on various parameters. Multi-hazard vulnerability maps. ECOWAS has prepared detailed maps to identify areas prone to coastal hazards. Coastal Management Information System. It collects data near the coast, which helps in planning, design and construction of site-specific coastal protection structures. National Action Plan on Climate Change. This includes missions like the National Water Mission, which indirectly support coastal resilience through water and forest management. Conclusion. Coastal regions and island nations face increasing threats from sea level rise, storms, erosion and extreme weather. India is playing a key role in building resilient and inclusive infrastructure through CDRI and its initiatives such as CRZ, ICZMP, and CVI. These efforts have been further strengthened recently by the joining of the African Union with the CDRI at ICDRI 2025 in June 2025. As climate risks rise, global action based on local needs and innovation is vital to protect coastal communities and ecosystems. If you liked the video, then like it now. Disaster Risk Reduction Financing. Recently, the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction released the Global Assessment Report 2025, titled Resilience Pages Financing and Investing for Our Future. This report explains how smart investments to reduce disaster risk can break the destructive cycle of disasters, debt, and humanitarian need. Also, at the 8th Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction in June 2025, India showcased the world's largest disaster risk reduction financing system. This system reflects India's efforts to reduce disaster risk. What does GPDRR mean? The Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction was established in 2006. It aims to assess and discuss progress in the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction. The Sendai Framework provides global guidelines for reducing disaster risk. What is disaster risk reduction? DRR means taking actions that prevent new disasters, reduce existing risks, and manage residual risks. This makes society and development stronger and sustainable. Example: building disaster-resilient infrastructure, such as hurricane-resistant schools or flood-resistant roads. DRR receives funding through all of these avenues. Why is DRR financing needed? Limited assistance. Only 2% of total development aid is spent on DRR. This means that very little money is being invested in disaster risk reduction, which is vitally important. Increasing financial burden. The economic losses from disasters have doubled in the last 2 decades. For example, disasters now cause losses of more than $2.3 trillion each year. Greater weakness of developing countries. By 2023, only 49% of least developed countries had multi-hazard early warning systems. It is difficult to deal with disasters in these countries due to lack of resources, breaking the 3 negative cycles. The cycle of decreasing income and increasing debt. Climate hazards could reduce global income by 19% by 2050. Low-income countries suffer these losses more. The cycle of temporary risk transfer. Insurance penetration in India is very low, less than 1%. This limits the ability to share disaster risk. Repeated cycle of answering. Every $1 invested in DRR can save $15 in future recovery costs. Key challenges in mobilizing DRR financing. Lack of a dedicated international financial mechanism. There is no specific global financial mechanism to create a DRR financing system. This makes it difficult for countries to raise funds. Low integration in financial decisions. Governments, businesses, and financial institutions do not factor disaster risk into their decisions. Data and evidence for risk analysis are also limited for some sectors and hazards considered politically risky. Investment in DRR is considered uncertain and may not yield immediate benefits. Due to this, governments and policymakers hesitate to invest money in it. Other challenges: weak institutional capacity in developing countries, lack of national DRR strategies, lack of data, and difficulty in risk analysis. India's DRR financing system. DRR finance mechanism. India has a rule-based and predetermined fund allocation system under the Disaster Management Act of 2005. This fund goes from national level to state and district level. Earlier funds were given only after a disaster, but now the system is structured and predefined. Thereby, the focus is on preparedness and risk reduction. Current allocation. Over 2.32 trillion rupees has been allocated for DRR under the 15th Finance Commission. 4 core principles of DRR financing in India. Dedicated financial windows, separate funds for preparation, risk mitigation, relief and rehabilitation. Prioritizing the needs of affected and vulnerable communities. This ensures that those most in need receive help. Access to funds at all levels. Funds should be easily available to central, state, and local governments. Accountability and transparency. Transparency, accountability, and measurable results in every spend. The way forward: improving the regulatory environment. National governments should create standards and taxonomies, such as defining sustainable and disaster-resilient investments. This will give the right direction to the investors. Tracking of financial flows. Risk prevention and tracking of financial data, so that it can be known how much money was used from the budget. This can ensure proper utilization of funds. Innovative financial approaches. Blended finance. A mix of public and private funds. Debt for resilience swaps. Investing in enhancing resilience instead of loan waivers. Green bonds and catastrophe bonds. These transfer the risk to global investors and provide additional protection over traditional insurance. Incorporating disaster risk into credit ratings. Promoting layered financing. National reserve or line of credit for small and recurring disasters. Insurance or risk transfer solutions for large and rare disasters. Conclusion: DRR financing is not just a development need, but a strategic investment for a sustainable future. To break the cycle of disaster and recovery, the global community must move away from reactive spending and towards proactive risk management. India's DRR financing system, showcased to the world at GP 2025 in June 2025, is an exemplary one. Resilience in this should be at the center of financial and policy decisions. Maritime disasters. Recently, India expressed concern over the increasing number of maritime accidents in the IMO's Maritime Safety Committee. India has sought strengthening of container security and cargo declaration rules. In particular, it called for improving global standards for packaging, declaration and monitoring of dangerous goods, including lithium-ion batteries, and those covered under the International Maritime Dangerous Goods Code. What are marine disasters? Marine disasters can be of many types, such as ship sinking, collision, fire, explosion, oil spill, or ship hitting the shore. New risks: transport of dangerous goods, such as hazardous chemicals, nuclear waste, weapons, and lithium-ion batteries. Recent marine accidents: sinking of MSC Elsa III. This Liberia-flagged ship sank off the Kochi coast. After the accident, nurdles, i.e. small plastic particles of 1 to 5 millimeters in size, were found in large quantities on the Thiruvananthapuram coast. Nurdles are the primary microplastic. These plastics, which contaminate the marine environment, can break down into micro and nanoplastics and enter the food chain. Fire on MV1 Hair 503. The ship carried cargo such as calcium carbide, plastic pellets, and heavy fuel oil. The fire and explosion caused dangerous goods to be spilled into the sea, posing a serious threat to the environment. The consequences of these accidents: environmental damage, marine pollution from oil spills, plastic nurdles, and ballast water, loss of biodiversity, such as threats to fish and marine life, health risk. Exposure to chemicals and oil can cause long-term health problems to cleanup workers and local people. economic and security losses. Depreciation of beaches, expenditure on cleanup operations, loss to the livelihood of fishermen and tourism industry. Questions on maritime security, challenges in handling maritime accidents, lack of transparency in cargo declaration. Shippers often do not provide accurate information or make incorrect declarations of dangerous goods. This makes it difficult to assess risk and mitigate losses. Mishandling of dangerous goods, incorrect packaging and storage of dangerous goods increases fire and environmental risks. The lack of standardized practices further compounds this problem. Complex ship ownership and management. Example, MSC Ilcia 3 was Liberian flagged, German-owned and Cyprus-managed. Such complex structures make it difficult to fix responsibility. Delay in global response and regulations. There is no global mechanism to promptly investigate accidents and update safety regulations. Rule changes usually occur after accidents, not beforehand. The complexity of insurance claims. Marine insurance policies are complex, and disputes can arise over liability, coverage, and cost sharing. IMO's role in maritime safety and environmental protection. The IMO is a United Nations agency that makes global rules for maritime safety and environmental protection. Some of its major conventions are IMDG Convention. It makes rules for the marking, packaging, loading and transportation of dangerous goods. Objective, safety of navigation and prevention of accidents. SOLAS 1974 sets minimum safety standards for ships, such as fire safety, navigation and operational safety. OPRC and OPRC-HNS protocols. Calls on countries to develop and cooperate on emergency plans for oil spills and hazardous chemicals. AFS Convention regulates the use of harmful anti-fouling substances on the surfaces of ships. Ballast Water Management Convention prevents the spread of harmful aquatic organisms and pathogens, which prevents the entry of new marine species. Hong Kong Convention ensures safe and environmentally friendly recycling of vessels so that human health and environment are not harmed. Legal mechanism relating to marine disasters in India. Merchant Shipping Act, 1958. Rules for maritime safety, ship registration, crew well-being, pollution prevention, and maritime obligations. Environment Protection Act, 1986. Enforces environmental protection against marine pollution such as oil spills and discharges of hazardous substances. National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan, operated by the Indian Coast Guard, provides operational protocols for oil and hazardous chemical spills. Admiralty Act 2017 provides a framework for handling maritime claims arising from accidents and collisions and determining court jurisdiction. The way forward. Prevention strategies. Strict rules. Strict adherence to SOLAS and MARPOL regulations globally and monitored by the provisions of Merchant Shipping Act in India. Hazard mapping and zoning. Identification of ecologically sensitive areas and prohibition of oil transportation there. Technology and transparency. Electronic cargo tracking, real-time monitoring of dangerous goods, and blockchain-based declaration. Improvement of IMO rules. To clarify full details of ownership of ships, flag states' responsibility, and managerial and operational control. Identification and early warning. Surveillance through coastal radars, drones and ISRO's RISAT satellite. Making automatic identification system mandatory in all ships. Polluter pays principle. Enforcing liability rules to hold ship owners accountable under Indian and international laws. Out-of-court settlement and mediation. Arbitration and negotiation for speedy resolution of maritime disputes. Training and awareness. Capacity building programs for port officials and fishermen. You can watch the video of the 8th part of this magazine culture on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box and end screen. Crowd disaster management. On the 4th of June 2025, a stampede broke out among the crowd celebrating Royal Challengers Bangalore's IPL victory outside the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru. 11 people died and 56 were injured in this accident. This incident highlights the shortcomings of crowd management in India. What is a stampede? According to the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, a stampede is a type of crowd disaster. This occurs when people in a crowd move forward suddenly due to danger or lack of space, causing a situation of crushing or suffocation. Crowd management failures and causes of the stampede. Failures in crowd control. Overcrowding. The Chinnaswamy Stadium had a capacity of 34,600. But 2.5 lakh people gathered in RCB's celebration. This made the situation go out of control. There was not enough space, barricades or exits to control the crowd. Lack of stakeholder coordination. RCB announced the free entry pass on social media, but this was not coordinated with the police or stadium management. Due to this, suddenly lakhs of people gathered at the small gates of the stadium, causing a stampede. Bengaluru police had already refused permission for the Vijay parade citing traffic and security reasons, but the organizers ignored it. Crowd behavior triggers panic and structural problems. Elphinstone Road Station, Mumbai. Panic spread due to rumors of collapse of a crowded footbridge during heavy rains. Due to the slippery and narrow road, 23 people died in the stampede. Fire, electrical accidents. The Bali fire incident, Haryana. A fire in a tent and a narrow exit caused a stampede in which more than 400 people were killed, mostly children. Competition to see celebrities. Pushpa 2 premiere, Hyderabad. A stampede broke out while trying to get a glimpse of Allu Arjun at the premiere of his movie, in which a woman died and a child was injured. Preparedness. Risk assessment and planning. Use failure mode and effects analysis. In this, each potential threat is rated based on severity, frequency, and difficulty of detection. Example: Mumbai handled the T20 World Cup roadshow in 2024 efficiently as they assess the risks in advance. Crowd density rules. Set allowable crowd limits per square meter and determine evacuation triggers. Model example: trained crowd control managers are mandatory for events of 1,000 plus people in New York. Infrastructure development. Build more than one wide entry-exit gates in stadiums, ghats and temples. Install multilingual signage and public address systems. Example: small gates and inadequate signage at the Chinnaswamy Stadium led to the stampede. Facilities and emergency medical services. Mahakumbh 2025 had articulating water towers, water ambulances and multi-disaster response vehicles to tackle fire. These facilities provide immediate help in accidents. Response. Information system. Inform the crowd immediately of delays, diversions or hazards with mobile updates, loudspeakers, digital boards and signage. Example: lack of timely information in the Chinnaswamy accident led to panic. Safety and security measures. Watchtowers, wireless communication and CCTV monitoring at all major locations. Keep a reserve force ready for immediate communication between the police and the organizers. How can technology prevent stampedes? Crowd tracking with RFID and IoT. Track visitor movements with RFID tags and the Internet of Things so that no area is filled beyond safe capacity. Example: RFID tagging was used for crowd control in Kumbh Mela and Vaishno Devi Shrine. Surveillance and real-time crowd monitoring. AI-based CCTV cameras and drones detect crowd density, potential obstructions and panic movements. Example: stampede prevented in Hajj pilgrimage through AI-based monitoring. Thermal imaging drones monitor large events from above. The live aerial feed helps the command center take quick decisions. AI models log all large events to analyze crowd patterns, evacuation performance and logistical flaws. Predictive analytics can predict crowd gatherings and alert authorities in time. Example: AI models prevented accidents at Kumbh Mela 2025 by predicting crowd flow. Conclusion. Effective crowd management is a multidisciplinary responsibility which requires careful planning, coordination between agencies, involvement of stakeholders, and use of modern technology. Given the increasing crowds of religious, sports and cultural events in India, it is important to strictly adhere to the NDMA guidelines such as risk-based planning, AI monitoring, and better evacuation. Accidents like the Chinnaswamy stampede teach us that such tragedies can be prevented through technology and coordination. Bharat Forecast System. The Ministry of Earth Sciences launched the Bharat Forecast System on the 26th of May 2025. It is the world's first indigenous high-resolution weather forecasting system, making India a global leader in meteorology. What is Bharat Forecast System? Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune, an autonomous institute of the Ministry of Earth Sciences. This increases the resolution of India's weather forecast from 12 kilometers to 6 kilometers. This means that now one can get accurate and location-specific weather forecast for every village. Data sources. Takes real-time data from 40 Doppler weather radars, which collects data on wind, rain, and particle movement using the Doppler effect. In future, the number of radars will be increased to 100. So that instant forecast can be issued within 2 hours across the country. Features and importance of BFS. Improved accuracy and speed. 64% higher accuracy in high-risk areas, especially for heavy rain and storms. Older models used to take 12 to 14 hours to make a forecast, but BFS does it in 4 to 6 hours. Global leadership. The 6 kilometers resolution of BFS makes it superior to the models from Europe, UK, and US. India is now the only country in the world that runs a global forecasting system at such high resolution. Disaster management and assistance for agriculture. Accurate short-term forecast and nowcast at village and block level. Helping farmers with crop planning, irrigation and protection against climate shocks, assistance to disaster management agencies in providing timely warnings on floods, storms and cloudbursts. Example, accurate prediction of heavy rainfall caused by a deep depression in northeast India in 2025 reduced the damage to some extent. Financial gain reduces climate-related losses in sectors such as agriculture, infrastructure and water management. Example, extreme weather in 2024 causes massive crop damage, but this can be reduced in the future by accurate prediction of BFS. High-performance computing. BFS runs on Arca and Arunika supercomputers. Arca has a capacity of 11.77 petaflops and 33 petabytes of storage, which processes data in 4 hours compared to the older supercomputer Pratyush. Regional forecast. Accurate forecast for 30 degrees south to 30 degrees north latitude. Accurate prediction of tropical weather events such as monsoons, hurricanes and heavy rainfall, which disproportionately impact low and middle-income countries. Conclusion. Bharat Forecast System is a symbol of India's scientific autonomy and Atmanirbhar Bharat mission. This mission was developed under weather and is the most advanced in the world, with 6 kilometers resolution. BFS not only helps in disaster management, agriculture and water management, but also makes India a global leader in meteorology. As climate risks increase, innovations like BFS will promote resilience and inclusive growth. You can watch the video of the 7th part of this magazine on science and technology on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button description box and end screen. Intergovernmental Science Policy Panel on Chemicals, Waste and Pollution established. Recently, a major meeting was held in Punta del Este, Uruguay in June 2025. In this, all the countries together officially launched this panel. The United Nations has recently formed a new panel whose name is International Science Policy Panel on Chemicals, Waste and Pollution. First of all, why was this panel created? In 2022, the United Nations Environment Assembly, called UNEA, decided that an international organization was needed to tackle chemicals, waste and pollution. This panel has been created by the United Nations Environment Programme, IEUNEP. Now UNEP will also host this panel. This means that the panel will work closely with UNEP. It will provide independent and scientific advice to all countries on issues related to chemicals, waste and pollution. That is, it will tell countries how to deal with these problems. This panel is very special because it has become a part of 3 major scientific organizations. The first 2 are the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IEIPCC, and the International Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity, IEIPBES. Now this third panel will work on pollution and waste. Now the question is, why was this panel needed? Because our Earth is facing 3 major problems: climate change, loss of nature and biodiversity, and the problem of pollution and waste. The use of chemicals has increased a lot in our daily life, such as pesticides, medicines and plastics. But their misuse or disposal can be harmful. The amount of waste is also increasing. The world will produce 2.1 billion tons of waste in 2023, and this could rise to 3.8 billion tons by 2050. That means a mountain of garbage can be created. Pollution is also becoming fatal. Deaths from modern pollution have increased by 66% in the last 2 decades. For example, air, water, and soil pollution is harming people's health. ILO Convention on Biological Hazards. Member countries of the International Labour Organization have adopted the first ever International Convention on Biological Hazards at Work. New ILO Treaty. ILO member countries have adopted for the first time an international treaty on the protection against biological hazards at work. This is called ILO Convention 192. Let us understand what this treaty says. This treaty calls on member countries to develop national policies to improve safety and health at work. First, measures must be taken to prevent and protect against biological hazards. Second, preparedness and response measures must be developed to deal with accidents and emergencies. For example, if a virus spreads, there should be a plan in advance on how to deal with it. India's concerns. India is worried about some things in this treaty. First, the treaty will apply to all sectors and companies of all sizes, whether the risk of biological threat is low or high. This may increase the burden on small and medium enterprises, IEM, SMEs, and informal sectors. Second, the definitions of the terms used in the treaty are very broad. This allows the rules to extend beyond the workplace. That could lead to more regulation. India wants the rules to be practical so that small businesses do not face any problems. What are biological hazards? Biological hazards are those that come from biological sources or are spread by biological vectors such as viruses, bacteria, fungi, or toxins. Those most at risk are those who work in healthcare, agriculture, or laboratories. For example, nurses or doctors working in a hospital. These increased risks are due to climate change and environmental changes, heat-related hazards, and increased use of antimicrobial drugs. For example, if we use antibiotics incorrectly, bacteria can become stronger. The ILO has previously created two treaties, Convention 155 and 187, which deal with safety and health at the workplace. India also has the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020, which ensures the safety of employees. Other key points of the conference. Many other important things also happened in this ILO conference. Let us look at them one by one. Nice work in the platform economy. For the first time, platform economy was discussed. Platform economy means digital platforms like Uber, Amazon, where people work online. It said these workers must be entitled to fundamental rights such as fair wages, social security, and safety at workplace. For example, if you are a delivery boy, you should get proper salary and insurance. Reducing informal work. A resolution was passed at the conference which talks about reducing informal work and moving towards formal work. It highlighted the need to improve working conditions, increase social security, and create good jobs. For example, street vendors should also get facilities like insurance and pension. Changes to the Maritime Labour Treaty. Some changes were made in the Maritime Labour Treaty 2006. This treaty is for sailors working on ships. The new changes said that violence and harassment on ships must be prevented. Sailors' rights to shore leave and return home were strengthened. Seafarers should be treated as essential workers so that their importance is understood. This treaty ensures minimum working and living conditions for seafarers. India acceded to this treaty in 2015. If possible, please like the video and leave a good comment. This encourages us to make good videos. State and Trends of Carbon Pricing 2025. We will talk about the World Bank Group's new report, State and Trends of Carbon Pricing 2025. This report explains how carbon pricing is being used around the world to reduce carbon emissions. According to this report of the World Bank, the number of carbon pricing IECP instruments was 5 in 2005, which has now increased to 80. Countries such as India, Brazil, and Turkey are actively developing their carbon pricing systems. These devices help in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Highlights of the report. Coverage. Carbon pricing now covers 28% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. This includes 43 carbon taxes and 37 emissions trading systems. Carbon tax means taxing emissions, and by setting emission caps in the ETS, companies trade emission units among themselves. Revenue generation. In 2024, carbon taxes and ETS together could raise over $100 billion in revenue worldwide. Governments are using this money in environmental, infrastructure, and development projects. Area-wise coverage. The highest carbon pricing is in the power sector and industry, but the agriculture and waste sectors are still largely left out. This means more work needs to be done to reduce emissions in these sectors. Supply and demand for carbon credits. In 2024, the supply of carbon credits exceeds demand. Nearly 1 billion ton of carbon credits remained unused. This is because companies are buying credits to reduce emissions, but right now the demand is low. Key provisions of carbon pricing. Now let us see what are the rules for carbon pricing at global and Indian level. On a global scale, Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. This provides the basis for international cooperation on carbon pricing. At COP29, the final rules for Article 6.2 Cooperative Approach and Article 6.4 Paris Agreement Crediting Mechanism were adopted. This will facilitate trading of carbon credits between countries. Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. It imposes a carbon price on imported goods based on their emissions. For example, the European Union's CBAM will come into effect from 2026, which will impose taxes on imported goods such as steel, cement. In India, Carbon Credit Trading Scheme. India launches this scheme in 2023, which has two mechanisms. Compliance mechanism. In this, certain companies have to follow set rules to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. For example, industries will have to reduce the intensity of their emissions. Offset mechanism. Non-obligated entities can register their projects like tree planting or emission-reducing technologies. For these, they get carbon credit certificates which are equivalent to 1 ton of CO2. State of the Climate in Asia 2024. We will talk about the State of the Climate in Asia 2024 report of the World Meteorological Organization. This report covers the impacts of climate change in Asia. What is WMO? WMO, World Meteorological Organization, is a specialized agency of the United Nations. It works on weather, climate and water issues and has 193 member countries. It formulates climate policies in collaboration with other nations, including India. Highlights of the report. Let us understand the key findings of this report one by one. The hottest year. 2024 was Asia's hottest or second hottest year. Asia's average temperature was 1.04 degrees Celsius warmer than during 1991 to 2020. For example, heat waves in India have seen temperatures reach 45 to 50 degrees Celsius, due to which more than 450 people died. Rapid increase in heat. Asia's temperatures are rising twice as fast as the global average. The warming trend in 1991 to 2024 has almost doubled compared to 1961 to 1990. This means that the effects of climate change are becoming more severe in Asia. Melting of glaciers. Glaciers in the central Himalayas and Tian Shan are melting rapidly due to reduced snowfall and extreme heat. 23 of 24 monitored glaciers lost mass, not gained it. This is increasing the risks of glacial lake outbursts and landslides, which are also affecting water security. Record sea temperature. The sea surface temperature in 2024 will be the highest ever. The decadal rate of ocean warming in Asia is about twice the global average. For example, marine heat waves affected 15 million square kilometers in the northern Indian Ocean and the seas near Japan, China, due to which fisheries and monsoon were affected. Other important points. The report said that 29 cyclones would hit Asia in 2024, which includes Remal, Fingal, Dana and Asna in India. Cyclone Ramal produced gusts in excess of 110 km per hour and storm surges of up to 2.5 meters. National Mission for a Green India. We'll talk about the National Mission for a Green India, also known as Green India Mission. Recently, a new document of this mission has been released. When and why was the new document released? On the 17th of June 2025, on the occasion of World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change released the revised document of Green India Mission. This document strengthens the plan to make the mission more effective and combat climate change. What is Green India Mission? The mission was started in 2011 and is one of the 8 missions under the National Action Plan on Climate Change. Its goal is to green the environment and reduce the effects of climate change. Mission objectives. First, increasing the area of forests and trees. Under this, trees will be planted on 24 million hectares of land, which includes both forest and non-forest lands. Second, improving ecosystem services, such as absorbing carbon, increasing soil fertility, and ensuring water availability. Third, create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2, equivalent by 2030. This means that trees will clean the atmosphere by absorbing carbon dioxide. 3 submissions. The Green India Mission has 3 main parts. First, improving the quality of forests and ecosystem services. For example, making forests healthy and rich in biodiversity. Second, increasing the area of forests and trees and restoring degraded ecosystems. For example, regrowing forests on barren land. Third, increasing and diversifying the incomes of forest-dependent communities. For example, giving them new sources of income from forest products, such as honey or medicinal plants. How will the funding be done? Part of the mission will be funded from its own budget. The remaining money will come from National Campa, i.e. Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority Fund. This fund is created when forest land is used for industry or other purposes, and in return money is deposited for tree plantation. Deadline. This mission is for 10 years. During this period, India will try to achieve its environmental and climate goals. How will it be implemented? The mission will be implemented through a bottom-up model. This means that local people and communities will play a key role. Joint Forest Management Committees will be its main implementation unit. These committees are formed by the village people and the Forest Department together, which take care of the forests and carry out the mission work. You can watch the video of the first part of this magazine, Polity and Governance, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box and end screen. Global Drought Outlook 2025 RELEA SED. We will talk about an important report called Global Drought Outlook 2025. It was released by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development on June 17, 2025. This report shows how severe drought is becoming across the world. What is OECD? OECD is a global organization which includes 37 countries. It works to improve economic and social policies. Its report focuses on the risks, impacts, and solutions of drought. Highlights of the report. Increase in severity of drought. 40% of the world's land area now experiences frequent and severe droughts. Recent examples include the severe drought in Europe in 2022, which affected crops and rivers. Drought in California in 2021, causing severe water shortages. Prolonged drought in the Horn of Africa and Somalia, which influenced millions of people. Climate change makes these droughts worse. For example, the European drought of 2022 was made 20 times more likely due to climate change. Economic impact. The economic cost of drought is increasing by 3% to 7.5% each year. An average drought in 2025 is twice as costly as in 2000 and could become 35% more costly by 2035. Hydroelectric power stations. In countries like India and Australia, water shortages can affect power generation. Water transport. For example, drought reduced ship movements in the Panama Canal by 40%. Crop production. Drought can reduce crops by up to 22%. For example, the 2021 drought in California caused $1.1 billion in agricultural losses. Ecological impact. The drought is having a profound impact on the environment. Decrease in soil moisture. Since 1980, 37% of the world's land area has experienced a significant decline in soil moisture. Fall in groundwater level. Globally, 62% of monitored aquifers have declined. This is causing the deterioration of forests, wetlands, and grasslands, due to which biodiversity is being lost and water availability is decreasing. Social impact. According to the World Meteorological Organization, droughts account for only 6% of natural disasters, but it causes 34% of disaster-related deaths. Drought increases poverty, inequality, and displacement, especially in regions such as sub-Saharan Africa. The risk of flash droughts is increasing in India, especially during the monsoon. The risk of flash drought in agricultural sectors could increase by 20 to 30% by 2100. Global ocean darkening threatens underwater ecosystems. Recently, researchers from a UK university found that between 2003 and 2022, 21% of the world's oceans have become dark. This was particularly observed in the Arctic, Antarctic, and Gulf Stream regions. The research published in the journal Global Change Biology found that 75 million square kilometers of ocean had been affected, which is equal to the total area of Europe, Africa, China, and North America. Particularly in closed seas like the Baltic Sea and coastal areas of the North Sea, the depth has increased, which is a warning for India as well, because our coastal areas are also affected by agricultural runoff. What is the reason for the sea becoming dark? Deepening of the ocean means reduction in the depth of light in the ocean. This causes the photic zone to shrink. The photic zone is the ocean layer that is illuminated by sunlight, and it is about 200 meters deep. This zone is home to 90% of all marine life, such as fish, plankton, and other organisms. According to the research, the deepening of the ocean is being caused by ecological changes, especially blooms of plant-like microscopic organisms such as phytoplankton and tiny animals such as zooplankton. Reasons for the depth of the ocean. The reasons for the depth of the sea differ between coastal and open seas. Let us understand this. In coastal seas, accumulation of nutrients, organic matter, and sediment. This is caused by agricultural runoff, water flowing from fields containing fertilizers, and increased rainfall. For example, nitrogen and phosphorus from farms flow into the ocean, due to which the number of plankton increases and the water becomes deeper. In the open seas, warming of the ocean surface causing algal blooms. Changes in ocean currents due to climate change. For example, the Gulf Stream and warming in the Arctic are causing algae and plankton to grow, which block the light. The effect of deepening of the ocean. The deepening of the ocean is having a profound impact on the environment, economy, and climate. Marine ecology and productivity. The depth of the ocean limits light-dependent processes. Example, photosynthesis, which is essential for phytoplankton. Growth, communication, and reproduction of organisms. This is reducing the productivity of the ocean, because phytoplankton, which are the base of the marine food chain, are being affected. For example, the daily vertical movement of zooplankton is shrinking because they are not able to go into deep water. Fisheries industry. The habitat of fishes is getting reduced due to shrinking of photic zone. This disrupts reproductive cycles, due to which the number of fishes is decreasing. In countries like India, where fisheries are part of the livelihood of millions of people, this can become a big challenge. For example, there are reports of a decline in fish production in India's coastal areas by 2025, which may be related to the deepening of the ocean. Climate regulation. Phytoplankton absorb carbon dioxide in the ocean and produce 50% of the oxygen. The deepening of the ocean weakens these processes. This reduces carbon absorption, which further aggravates climate change. Oxygen production decreases, which is a threat to the entire Earth. This is reducing the ocean's ability to regulate the climate. You can watch all the videos of this month's magazine from this playlist. Blue Nationally Determined Contributions Challenge. The Blue Nationally Determined Contributions Challenge is launched by Brazil and France. It is a global initiative that puts the ocean at the center of the fight against climate change. What is the Blue NDC Challenge? The challenge launches on the 9th of June 2025 at the United Nations Ocean Conference. It aims to have all countries place the ocean at the center of their nationally determined contributions. NDCs are national plans which countries make under the Paris Agreement to fight climate change. These plans are updated every 5 years. This challenge was launched specifically ahead of COP30, which will take place in Belém, Brazil in November 2025. 8 countries have already joined: Brazil, France, Australia, Fiji, Kenya, Mexico, Palau, and Seychelles. Which organizations are supported? This initiative is supported by many large organizations: Ocean Conservancy, the Ocean and Climate Platform, and the World Resources Institute, working through the Ocean Resilience and Climate Alliance. The role of the ocean in climate change. The ocean is crucial to fighting climate change. Carbon dioxide absorption. The ocean absorbs 30% of the world's carbon dioxide emissions, which makes it a big carbon sink. Coastal ecosystems such as mangroves, seagrass, and salt marshes store carbon up to 4 times faster than forests. For example, Brazil has the South Atlantic's only coral reef and the world's largest mangrove belt that helps store carbon. Regulation of heat. The ocean absorbs 90% of the excess heat that is created by greenhouse gas emissions. This helps to control the global temperature, otherwise the Earth would get hotter. Renewable energy. Offshore wind energy could meet more than 1/3 of global electricity needs. It is a great source of clean energy, which reduces dependence on fossil fuels. Third United Nations Ocean Conference. We will talk about the Third United Nations Ocean Conference, which concluded recently. This conference adopted the NICE Ocean Action Plan to protect the oceans. The Third United Nations Ocean Conference took place from 9 to the 13th of June 2025 in Nice, France. It was jointly organized by France and Costa Rica. The conference focused on the ocean's marine resources and their sustainable utilization to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 14. Key highlights of the NICE Ocean Action Plan. The biggest outcome of this conference is the NICE Ocean Action Plan, which includes a political declaration and a list of voluntary commitments. Global Roadmap for 14 Sudanese pounds. The plan adopted 14 Sudanese pounds, a global roadmap to conserve and sustainably use the oceans and marine resources. The declaration acknowledged that 14 Sudanese pounds is the least funded of all the Sustainable Development Goals. This means more funding is needed to protect the ocean. This plan will promote marine biodiversity, fisheries, and livelihoods of coastal communities. International Agreement on Plastic Pollution. The plan reiterated a commitment to develop an international legally binding agreement on plastic pollution. Its goal is to reduce plastic waste in the ocean, which is a big threat to fishes and marine ecosystem. For example, at UNOC3 in 2025, the Ocean Cleanup highlighted its projects to stop plastic from rivers. Global Action on Climate and Acidification Impacts. The plan calls for global coordinated action to reduce the effects of climate change and ocean acidification. Ocean acidification occurs when carbon dioxide dissolves in the ocean, it makes it acidic, due to which organisms like coral reefs and shellfish are harmed. It also threatens coastal communities that depend on fishing and tourism. The plan emphasizes restoration of ecosystems such as mangroves, seagrass, and coral reefs, which absorb carbon and protect the coasts. If you like the video, then you can share this video with your friends preparing for IAS. New Ramsar sites in Rajasthan. On the occasion of World Environment Day on the 5th of June 2025, Keechan and Menar wetlands of Rajasthan have been declared Ramsar sites. This brings the total number of Ramsar sites in India to 91, the highest in Asia and third in the world after the United Kingdom and Mexico. World Environment Day is celebrated every year on the 5th of June, which is organized by the United Nations Environment Programme. The theme of 2025 was Beat Plastic Pollution. With these 2 new sites, Rajasthan now has 4 Ramsar sites. These include the already included Sambha Salt Lake and Kilauea Volcano National Park, Hechan Wetland, place. Northern Thar Desert, Lodi District, Rajasthan. Structure. It has two water bodies, the Ratri River and the Vijayasagar Tank, as well as riverside areas and bushlands. Specialty. It attracts large numbers of demoiselle crane birds in winter. More than 30,000 demoiselle cranes visit here each year from Central Asia, making it a popular destination for bird lovers. Ecological importance. It is an important stop on the Central Asian Flyway, where more than 150 bird species come. Role of the community. Local people are active in protecting these migratory birds, which makes it a great example of human-wildlife coexistence. Menar Wetland Complex. Place. Menar and Kheroda villages, Udaipur district, Rajasthan. Structure. It is a freshwater monsoon wetland composed of three ponds: Brahma Pond, Dhand Pond, and Kheroda Pond. The monsoon floods the nearby agricultural lands, making it more prosperous. Biodiversity. More than 110 waterfowl species are found here, which includes 67 migratory birds. Special species: the white-throated vulture and the long-billed vulture, which are critically endangered. Plants. There are more than 70 species of plants here, in which there are mango trees around the Brahma Pond, which shelter a large colony of Indian flying foxes. Role of the community. Menar is called as Bird Village because local people conserve it by prohibiting hunting and fishing. It was declared an important bird area in 2016. Tourism. It is an emerging ecotourism destination on the Udaipur-Chittorgarh route. What are Ramsar sites? Ramsar sites are wetlands which are selected for international importance under the Ramsar Convention. This convention was created in the city of Ramsar in Iran, and its goal is the conservation and sustainable use of wetlands. Wetlands are areas where the water is still or flowing, such as swamps, lakes or ponds. These are important for biodiversity, flood control, and climate regulation. Greater Flamingo Sanctuary. The Tamil Nadu government has notified the Greater Flamingo Sanctuary at Dhanushkodi. This sanctuary is an important stop on the Central Asian Flyway, where thousands of migratory wetland birds stop. Dhanushkodi on the Rameswaram Island is part of the Point Calimere Wildlife Sanctuary. The area is full of wetlands with saline and alkaline water, ideal for flamingos and other birds. It aims to protect migratory birds, preserve their breeding grounds, and promote biodiversity. It was announced on World Environment Day on the 5th of June 2025 with the theme Beat Plastic Pollution. About the Greater Flamingo. Let's understand the special features of the Greater Flamingo. IUCN status. The Greater Flamingo's status is least concern. That means it is not in danger yet, but their habitats need protection. Distribution. This bird is found in Africa, Western Asia, and Southern Europe. In India, it is common in the wetlands of Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Rajasthan. Place of residence. Greater flamingos breed in saline or alkaline shallow wetlands. As such, the saltwater ponds and marshes of Dhanushkodi are ideal for them. These birds come to India in winter after the monsoon, especially via the Central Asian Flyway. Features. Their long legs, pink feathers, and curved beak make them unique. They are philopatric. That means they return to their breeding grounds every year. After breeding, they may disperse long distances, but remain faithful to the breeding site. They feed on small algae, crustaceans, and insects, for which they filter water with their beaks. Flamingo City, Gujarat. The Kutch Desert Wildlife Sanctuary is the only breeding ground of the greater flamingo in South Asia. It is known as the Flamingo City. Every year in winter, millions of flamingos come here to breed, making it world famous. Dhanushkodi Sanctuary can also become one such important stop. IBAT Alliance. The IBAT Alliance will invest a record $2.5 million in biodiversity data in 2024, up from $1.2 million in 2023. This investment has doubled. This investment will support three key global biodiversity datasets. World Database on Protected Areas. It is the most comprehensive database of marine and terrestrial protected areas. Data for 100 areas updated in 2024. The IUCN Red List of Threatened Species. It measures the risk of extinction of a species, which is called the barometer of life. In 2024, around 170,000 species were assessed, such as the Philippine eagle and the black rhino. World Database of Key Biodiversity Areas. It shows places important for biodiversity. 600 new KBAs added in 2024. What is the IBAT Alliance? IBAT The Integrated Biodiversity Assessment Tool Alliance is a global alliance that collects and makes available biodiversity data. It was launched in 2008. Headquarters, United Kingdom. Member organizations. It is a coalition of 4 large and influential conservation organizations. BirdLife International works to protect birds and their habitats. Conservation International focuses on biodiversity and sustainable development. International Union for Conservation of Nature creates global standards for nature conservation. United Nations Environment Programme World Conservation Monitoring Center works on environmental data and policies. Mission: to provide organizations with data, tools and guidance to take action on biodiversity risks and opportunities. International Big Cat Alliance. Recently, the first meeting of IBCA was held in New Delhi. At this meeting, Shri Bhupendra Yadav, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change India, was elected President of IBCA. This assembly is the biggest decision-making part of and this happens every year or every 2 years. First of all, what is IBCA? It is an international alliance which includes 95 countries. These countries work to protect big cat species such as tigers, lions, leopards, snow leopards, cheetahs, jaguars, and pumas. These animals are found in some countries and some countries are interested in protecting them. It was launched in April 2023. When India completed 50 years of its Project Tiger, it was a matter of great pride. The aim of IBCA is to bring all the countries on one platform, so that best practices can be shared to protect big cat species. With this, we can save these animals from extinction. Which countries are its initial members? The 16 countries are India, Armenia, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Cambodia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Ecuador, Kenya, Malaysia, Mongolia, Nepal, Nigeria, Peru, Suriname, and Uganda. India has a special role in this. India is the host country of IBCA and its secretariat is also located here. That means India plays an important role in running this alliance. You can watch the video of the 4th part of this magazine, Security, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box and end screen. Revised Guidelines on National Bioenergy Programme. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has updated the guidelines on waste-to-energy and biomass components of the National Bioenergy Programme. What is the National Bioenergy Programme? It was launched in 2022. It will be implemented in 2 phases, whose total budget is 1,715 crore rupees. The first phase will run from 2021-22 to 2025-26. Its main objective is to generate electricity from the excess organic material available in rural areas and provide additional income to the villagers. For this, the government gives financial aid, which is called Central Financial Assistance. Special areas like northeastern states, hilly areas and SC/ST beneficiaries will get 20% more help. This program has 3 parts. First, Waste-to-Energy Program. It supports projects to produce biogas, bio-CNG, electricity or syngas from urban, industrial and agricultural waste. Second, Biomass Program. It promotes production of briquettes, pellets from biomass and non-bagasse-based power generation. Third, Biogas Program. It supports biogas plants in rural areas for clean cooking fuel, small-scale power, improved sanitation and women empowerment. Biogas consists of 95% methane and carbon dioxide, with small amounts of other gases. Now the special points of the new guidelines. Processes have been simplified in the Waste-to-Energy Program, like getting approval for MSME and industries was made simpler. The financial assistance will be given in 2 phases, 50% after the approval of the State Pollution Control Board and the remaining assistance after the project achieves 80% capacity. Also, the inspection process has been made easy and performance-based. Procedures have also been simplified in the biomass program. For example, briquette pellet plants no longer require approval documents. The use of modern technologies like IoT has been increased. Pellet producers will have the option to choose either MNRE or Central Pollution Control Board schemes to tackle the problem of stubble burning in NCR and neighboring states. Additionally, market access and performance-based subsidies have also been made flexible. Energy Transition Index 2025. Recently, the Energy Transition Index 2025 report was released by the World Economic Forum. This index shows how fast countries are moving from fossil fuels to clean energy. Key highlights of ETI 2025. Sweden ranks first, followed by Finland, Denmark, and Norway. These countries are leaders in clean energy, strong policies, and infrastructure. India was ranked 63rd in 2024. But in 2025, it came to 71st position. That means there was a drop of 8 places in the rank. Still, India has shown progress in energy efficiency and investment. What is the Energy Transition Index? The index ranks countries based on the progress of their energy transition, that is, the pace of moving from fossil fuels to clean energy. It looks at two main aspects. System performance. This includes three things: continuous availability of energy and affordable price, energy access and affordable electricity for all, lower carbon emissions and use of clean energy. Transition readiness. This includes aspects such as rules and regulations, infrastructure, investment, innovation, and education. The index uses 43 indicators, and it takes data from multiple sources and gives countries a score on a scale of 0 to 100. Sweden ranked first with a score of 77.5, showing strong performances in system performance and transition readiness. India's score was 53.3, in which it got a score of 60.4 in system performance and 42.7 in transition readiness. India improves energy efficiency and electricity access for all, but more work is still needed on the infrastructure. We will understand a new and interesting environmental term, thirst wave. This word is very important for climate change and agriculture. What is thirst wave? Thirst wave is a condition in which the evaporative demand of the atmosphere is much more than normal for at least 3 consecutive days. This means that the air absorbs moisture from soil, plants, and water faster. Scientists have named it recently. What is evaporative demand? This tells us how thirsty the atmosphere is. That is, how easily air draws moisture from plants, soil, and water sources. When this demand is high, more water is required for farming. What causes thirst waves? Thirst waves are caused by several factors. When it is very hot, the air absorbs more moisture. Strong wind blows away moisture quickly. When there is less humidity, the environment is more thirsty. Due to excessive sunlight, water evaporates quickly. All of these combine to form a thirst wave, which is different from a heat wave because in a heat wave, only heat is involved. The study of thirst waves is very beneficial for farmers. This helps them to manage the water resources better. This ensures that crops get the right amount of water at the right time. This increases the crop yield. This reduces wastage of water. Equals. For example, scientists in Idaho, USA are creating a dashboard which will help farmers in planning irrigation by giving information about thrust waves. Scientists found that from 1981 to 2021, the intensity of thunderstorms in the US increased by 17% and the frequency increased by 23%. This is the effect of climate change. Even in areas like the Midwest, where there are fewer droughts on average, more thunder waves are occurring. This increases the risk of damage to crops. Salkhan Fossil Park, added to UNESCO tentative list for World Heritage Sites. We will talk about Sonbhadra Fossil Park, which is officially called the Sonbhadra Fossil Park, and it is situated in Sonbhadra district of Uttar Pradesh. It is recognized as a Geo-Heritage Site under IUCN's 2020 Guidelines for Evolution of Life and under UNESCO's 2021 Framework for History of Earth and the Evolution of Life. What is Salkhan Fossil Park? This park is located in the Sonbhadra district of Uttar Pradesh, and it is also officially called Sonbhadra Fossil Park. It is in the Kaimur Range, which is part of the Vindhya Mountains, and is near the Kaimur Wildlife Sanctuary. It is one of the oldest and best preserved fossil sites in the world. What is special in this park? Ancient fossils. There are 1.4 billion-year-old fossils here, which are called stromatolites. These are made up of cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae. Great oxygenation event. These stromatolites are evidence of the time when oxygen first accumulated in the Earth's air. This was very important for the development of life on Earth. Understanding the ancient environment. The park has different forms of stromatolites, such as domal, columnar, and stratiform. These show changes in ancient water depth, sediments, and wave activity. Precambrian era. The park depicts the Precambrian era, which is underrepresented in the World Heritage. It gives information about the time when life began. Recent volcanic eruptions. Mount Etna. Mount Etna. Mount Etna is the highest island mountain in the Mediterranean Sea and the world's most active stratovolcano. It is the largest active volcano in Europe, and it is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Mount Lewotobi Laki-Laki. This volcano is in the Ring of Fire of the Pacific Ocean. It is one of 2 peaks on Lewotobi, the other being Lewotobi Perempuan. Laki-Laki means man in Indonesian. Kilauea Volcano. It is a shield volcano in the southeastern part of Hawaii, one of the most active volcanoes in the world. It is in Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. In this video, we will cover all these topics of science and technology. Axiom-4 Mission. Axiom-4 Mission is a special space mission which was successfully completed on the 15th of July 2025. In this mission, our Indian group captain Shubhanshu Shukla and 3 other astronauts went to the International Space Station IEISS and returned safely. This was a 14-day mission in which the astronauts stayed on the ISS and conducted several scientific experiments. This was the 4th mission of Axiom Space, a private American company jointly supported by NASA and SpaceX. It was launched from a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, which flew from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, Florida, with the help of a Falcon 9 rocket. The Falcon 9 is a 2-stage rocket, which can be used again and again. Dragon is a spacecraft that carries astronauts and can also be reused. There were 4 astronauts in this mission. Shubhanshu Shukla from India, Peggy Whitson from USA, Slavoj Uznansky from Poland, Tibor Kapu from Hungary. Its main goal was to resume manned flight into space for India, Poland and Hungary. This was the first ISS mission of these 3 countries and the first government-supported mission in 40 years. More than 60 scientific studies from 31 countries were conducted in this mission. Some special experiments were as follows. Study of crop cultivation. The effect of microgravity was observed on 6 types of seeds so that farming can be done in space in the future. Cyanobacteria. These are bacteria that live in water, those who carry out photosynthesis. These were studied so that life support systems could be created in spacecraft. Space microalgae. Their metabolism and genetics were compared in space and on Earth. These may be useful for food, fuel, or life support. Myogenesis. Muscle loss studied in microgravity so that ways to treat it can be found. Tardigrades. These are small creatures that survive even in very difficult conditions. Their survival and reproduction process was studied. The mental and physical effects of computer screen use in microgravity were observed. Additionally, STEM outreach programs were also conducted for Indian students. Why is the Axiom-4 mission special for India? Help for Gaganyaan mission. The Axiom-4 mission is very important for India's first human space mission, Gaganyaan. This mission taught us a lot about medical training, psychological preparation, and coordination between astronauts and the ground team. Our astronaut group captain Shubhanshu Shukla, who went to Axiom-4, is one of the 4 astronauts selected for the Gaganyaan mission. His experience will make Gaganyaan even better. Space diplomacy. This mission showed that India's space organization ISRO is now working on a global level. ISRO completed this mission in collaboration with NASA, European Space Agency, and private company Axiom Space. Development of India's space sector. The Axiom-4 mission gave a boost to India's space industry. This mission lays a strong foundation for India's future plans, such as the Indian Space Station. This will give new technologies and companies an opportunity to grow in India. National pride and inspiration. It is a matter of pride for every Indian that an Indian astronaut like Shubhanshu Shukla goes to the ISS. Main challenges in human space mission for India. Human space missions are very complex, with the safety of astronauts being of utmost importance. These challenges are of 2 types. Technical and logistical. Let us understand these one by one. Technical challenges. Human space mission requires very advanced technology. Here are some of the main technical challenges. Life support systems. Special systems are needed to keep astronauts alive in space. This includes cleaning the air, regulating temperature, recycling waste, and storing food. If these systems do not work properly, the lives of astronauts could be in danger. Protection from radiation. Cosmic rays and solar particles are dangerous in space outside low Earth orbit. These pose serious health risks to astronauts, such as cancer or other diseases. For this, a special protective shield has to be made in the spacecraft. Spacecraft re-entry and thermal protection. When the spacecraft returns to Earth's atmosphere, the pressure of air and gas particles causes its temperature to reach 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit. To withstand this, spacecraft needs special thermal shields that must be extremely complex and precise. Reliability of the launch vehicle. Rockets for human space missions must be very safe. It's called human-rated. That means it must have stringent security standards. The rocket has to handle complexities such as controlled flight, emergency abort systems, and reusability. Logistical challenges. Beyond the technology, there are many practical challenges as well. High cost. Human space missions are very expensive. It requires launch pads, testing facilities, tracking stations, and other robust systems. It costs a lot of money to build and run all of this. Training and selection of astronauts. Astronauts have to undergo rigorous physical, mental, and technical training. They have to be prepared for the harsh conditions of space. In addition, astronauts may experience stress, loneliness, or other psychological problems during long missions. which need to be taken care of. What is the International Space Station? The ISS is an artificial satellite in which people can live. This is in low Earth orbit. That is, it revolves at an altitude of 370 to 460 kilometers from the Earth. There are 5 main partners in building and operating the ISS: Europe, America, Japan, Canada, Russia. The ISS revolves around the Earth at a speed of 28,000 kilometers per hour. It completes one revolution around the Earth every 90 minutes. The ISS is the largest artificial structure in space, and there is a mobile laboratory. It passes over 90% of the Earth's inhabited areas, so that scientists can study the Earth and space from there. The first part of the ISS was launched in 1998. It will continue to serve as a laboratory and base in space until at least 2030. What is Gaganyaan program? Gaganyaan is India's first manned space mission, which got approved in 2018. Objective: the goal of this mission is to send 3 astronauts into a 400 kilometers orbit for 3 days and bring them back safely to Earth. Main parts of Gaganyaan. Launch Vehicle Mark III. Earlier it was called GSLV Mk3. This is a 3-stage rocket. First step: 2 solid fuel boosters attached to the main body of the rocket. Second stage: 2 liquid-fueled Vikas-2 engines. Third step: the CE-20 cryogenic engine, which uses liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. Orbital module. It has 2 parts. Crew module, where astronauts live. Service module, which provides electricity, oxygen, and other necessary things. Extended goals. The Gaganyaan program is now also working towards building the first unit of the Indian Space Station. What is Indian Space Station? The Indian Space Station is a planned space station of India, which will be for scientific research. It will orbit at an altitude of 400 to 450 kilometers from the Earth and will have 5 modules. Goals and deadlines. The first module will be launched in 2028. The entire BAS will be operational by 2035. If you liked the video, then like it now. Science and Technology Clusters, Initiatives. Recently reported in the S&T Cluster Annual Report, 2024-2025. This year, on June 26, 2025, Professor Ajay Kumar Sood, who is our Principal Scientific Advisor, released this report. Many wonderful projects are mentioned in this report. One of these is kalanubhav.in. What is kalanubhav.in? This is an online marketplace that uses the technology of AR and VR, i.e., augmented reality and virtual reality. Its purpose is to promote the artisans of our country. Just think about the beautiful handicrafts that the artisans in our villages make. His art can now be seen and purchased by the entire world with the help of technology. This not only increases their income but also takes our culture to the world. There are many more achievements in the report. Like charging stations for electric vehicles were built in Delhi. One Delhi app was launched, which is being used by more than 3 lakh people. And in the medical field, pacemaker leads were manufactured at AMTZ, Visakhapatnam. All this shows what big changes S&T clusters are bringing about. This is a special program which started in 2020. It was suggested to be started by the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council, which we call PMSTIAC. This means that the country's leading scientists and experts together advise that we should create a system that uses science and technology for the needs of the people. That different people and institutions, such as schools, colleges, research labs, industry and local governments, all work together. All of these come together and bring new technologies or solutions that can solve our everyday problems. For example, if there is a water problem in an area, so these people will find a solution together. How does this work? We call this a consortium-based model. This means that everyone works as a team. Each cluster focuses on the problems of its area and finds solutions to them with the help of science and technology. For example, if there is a traffic problem in Delhi, so the cluster there will work on that. The responsibility of running this entire program lies with the Office of the Principal Scientific Advisor, IEPSA. This office works under the Cabinet Secretary and advises the government on how science and technology can be better used. Critical and Emerging Technologies Index. The Critical and Emerging Technologies Index is such a report card, which measures the progress of 25 countries in 5 key technological areas. These areas are artificial intelligence, biotechnology, semiconductors, space and quantum technology. This means that it looks at which country is ahead in these areas. It is issued by Harvard Kennedy School. In this index, every technology is evaluated on the basis of 6 criteria. First, geopolitical importance, i.e., how important this technology is in the world. Second, systemic leverage, meaning how much it affects a larger system. Third, contribution to GDP, i.e., how it grows the country's economy. Fourth, the possibility of dual use. That means it can be used in both civil and military sectors. Fifth, supply chain risk, meaning the risk of disruption to its materials or production. And sixth, maturity time, that is how long it will take to fully develop. The report released on June 25, 2025, showed that India lags far behind the top 3 countries, the US, China, and Europe, in all 5 of these technology sectors. In particular, India's performance in semiconductor technology is weak. Semiconductors are those little chips which are used in our phones, computers, and many machines. India needs to do more work in this area because we're currently dependent on other countries for these chips. However, India is doing well in some areas. For example, India's talent pool in AI is very strong. But we need better infrastructure and investments to be able to keep pace with countries like the US and China. You can watch the video of the 8th part of this magazine, Culture, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box, and end screen. Quantum entanglement-based communication achieved. DRDO and IIT Delhi together conducted a wonderful experiment. They successfully demonstrated free space quantum communication over a distance of 1 kilometer using quantum entanglement. This means secure data sent over the air without any wires. Earlier, ISRO had conducted a similar experiment in 2021 at a distance of 300 meters. But now DRDO and IIT Delhi took it further. This experiment was part of quantum key distribution, whose full name is quantum key distribution. Now, what is this QKD? This is a technology which is based on quantum mechanics. 2 things are very important in this: quantum entanglement and quantum cryptography. Let us understand quantum entanglement. Suppose 2 particles are created from the same place and get combined once. No matter how far you take them, these are always connected to each other. If there is some change in one particle, the other particle immediately feels its effect, even if it is millions of kilometers away. Now let us understand quantum cryptography. This is a technology which makes the data so secure that no one can hack it. It converts the data into code which only the right receiver can understand. There was another special thing in this experiment. Its quantum bit error rate, i.e. QBER, was just less than 7%. What is this QBER? This tells how much error was there in the information sent and received. If it is low, it means that if someone tries to spy, he will be easily caught. What does this success mean? This is taking us towards quantum cybersecurity. It will be used in the future for long-distance secure communications and quantum internet. That is, a form of internet that will be much faster and more secure than today. Fiber optic drones. Fiber optic drones have recently been used in the Russia-Ukraine war. These are special drones which are connected to the operator through fiber optic cable instead of radio signals. These can control drones at a distance of up to 20 kilometers. These cables are very thin as hair, and contain fine glass tubes. Features of fiber optic cable: these cables send data at very high speeds. These can work over long distances. They support multiple types of communications simultaneously, but only one communication occurs on one frequency at a time. Most importantly, these are not affected by electronic warfare, i.e. EW. This means that they cannot be jammed or hacked. Normal drones operate using radio signals which can be easily stopped by enemy jammers. But fiber optic drones have a thin cable that connects the drone to the operator. Video and control signals are sent through this cable. Because they don't rely on radio signals, the enemy's electronic jammers cannot harm them. These drones can fly at low altitudes and can even work between buildings or forests. Russia used them to cut the Ukrainian army's supply lines and hit large targets such as tanks. You can watch the video of the first part of this magazine, Polity and Governance, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box, and end screen. The HRUA, i.e. Digital Hub for Reference and Unique Virtual Address, is a digital public infrastructure which has been created by the Department of Posts. Its aim is to provide a unique digital address to every household in India. This is a technology that helps in sharing addresses accurately and securely, using a geocoded framework. Objective of DASRUA. It recognizes address management as an important public infrastructure. This can improve governance, service delivery, and user experience. It supports address as a service, that is, services for managing address data that promote secure and easy interactions between users, government, and the private sector. DHRUA has two main parts. Digital Postal Index Number is a 10-digit alphanumeric code based on latitude and longitude. India is divided into small grids of 4x4 meters, and every grid gets a unique DIGIPIN. It accurately identifies any location using geospatial data. For example, this code marks a house, shop, or farm with its exact location. Digital Address Layer. It is a user-centric and consent-based system based on DIGIPIN. Through this, you can give a customized label to your DIGIPIN. Like Rahul at India Post. These labels make your address easier and more understandable. You can decide who to share your address with. This means your privacy remains completely safe. The specialities of DHRUA are: first, privacy and security. Your address will only be shared with your consent. Second, it works with all types of digital systems. That means it is interoperable. Third, it can work on a large scale, that is, it is scalable. Fourth, it is transparent and accountable. And fifth, it encourages new inventions. Now let's talk about its benefits. For citizens, DHRUA will make government schemes like ration or emergency services reach the right place easily. E-commerce, postal, and courier services will be more accurate and faster. For private sector, logistics and delivery will be easier, saving time and money. Address verification will become easier for banks, telecom, and fintech companies. Businesses will be able to function better even in remote areas. For governance, through DHRUA, the government can expand its reach to remote areas. Welfare schemes will reach the right people with accuracy. Urban planning and management will improve. Tianwen-2 Probe. First of all, Tianwen-2 is a spacecraft which was launched by China on the 28th of May 2025. Long March 3B rocket was used to launch it. Tianwen-2 aims to collect samples from a special asteroid named 2016HO3. This meteorite is near the Earth, and it is also called the quasi-moon because it revolves around the Sun along with the Earth. This spacecraft will reach this meteorite in 2026. There, it will study its surface and take about 100 grams of soil or rock samples. These samples will be brought back to Earth in 2027. After this, Tianwen-2 is unstoppable. It will then embark on another journey to the main belt comet 311 PPANSTARRS, located between Mars and Jupiter. This comet is special because it orbits like a meteorite, but it also appears to have a dust tail like a comet. Tianwen-2 will reach and study this comet by 2035. Did you know that Tianwen-2 is not China's first space mission? Earlier, Tianwen-1 was launched in 2020. It consisted of an orbiter, a lander, and a rover named Zhurong. It landed on the surface of Mars in 2021 and gave a lot of information about Mars. The Tianwen-3 mission is scheduled to launch in 2028. It will collect samples from Mars and bring them to Earth by 2030. Next, the Tianwen-4 mission will explore Jupiter around 2030. You can watch the video of the fourth part of this magazine, Security, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box, and end screen. India's first gene-edited sheep produced. Scientists at Sher-e-Kashmir University of Agricultural Sciences and Technology, Kashmir, in collaboration with the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, have created India's first gene-edited sheep. This feat was achieved on May 27, 2025, and was done using CRISPR-Cas9 technology. This comes after the recent release of India's first gene-edited rice variety. What is CRISPR-Cas9 technology? CRISPR-Cas9 is one such technology, which works like cutting and joining of DNA. This allows scientists to make precise changes to an organism's DNA, such as removing, adding, or changing a specific gene. The Nobel Prize was awarded in 2020 for the discovery of this technology. Scientists edited the myostatin gene of a lamb. This gene controls muscle growth. Changing this gene resulted in a 30% increase in muscle mass in sheep, which does not occur naturally in Indian sheep, but it is found in European breeds such as the Texel. The special thing is that no external DNA was added to it. Therefore, it is different from transgenic animals. This makes the technology secure, fast, and acceptable to regulators and consumers. Earlier, the National Dairy Research Institute had developed a gene-edited buffalo embryo. Importance of this research. This sheep, which is of the Kashmir Merino breed, can increase meat production because it has 30% more muscles. These techniques could help in the future to create disease-resistant animals, increase fertility, or produce twins. This research is the result of 4 years of hard work, and it was led by Professor Riaz Ahmed Shah, who created India's first cloned Pashmina goat Nuri in 2012. Ethical concerns surrounding gene editing. If this technology changes intelligence, gender, or appearance, so this designer can make babies or animals, due to which inequality may increase in the society. This technology may promote the idea of creating better humans or animals, due to which discrimination may increase. There could be a change in the wrong gene. This can lead to mosaicism or unexpected problems. New diseases or damage to the environment may occur. Some animals are sacrificed and undergo surgery for gene editing, which raises ethical questions. UNESCO's International Bioethics Committee is considering these ethical issues. You can understand this technique better from this graphic. You can watch all the videos of this month's magazine from this playlist. HIV prevention drug approved. The US Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has approved a new medicine. The name of this medicine is lenacapavir. This medicine has been made to prevent HIV. FDA approval is very special. It also makes the pre-qualification process of the World Health Organization easier. This means that this medicine may soon be available in many countries because WHO ensures that medicines are safe, effective, and of good quality. Now let's talk about lenacapavir. This medicine is a type of PrEP. PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis. In simple words, it is a medicine that is given to HIV-negative people so that they remain safe from HIV. Especially for those who are at risk of HIV. WHO already recommends some PrEP options, such as medications taken by mouth, dapivirine vaginal ring, and an injection called cabotegravir. Now lenacapavir has become a new and effective option in this list. Let's understand a little about HIV. HIV-IE, human immunodeficiency virus, is a virus that weakens our body's immunity, i.e., the immune system. These CD4 cells, which are the white blood cells in our blood, destroys them. How is HIV spread? It can be spread through an infected person's blood, breast milk, semen, or vaginal fluids. Also, it can be passed from mother to child. HIV is treated and prevented with antiretroviral therapy or ART. If HIV is not treated, it can lead to AIDS or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, which is a very serious situation. According to HIV estimates for 2023 in India, more than 2.5 million people are living with HIV. That is why such medicines are very necessary. Recently, the approval of lenacapavir is a major step forward. This medicine can make prevention of HIV easier and more effective. India has taken all these initiatives to stop this disease. If you like the video, then you can share this video with your friends preparing for IAS. Weight loss drug. Danish pharma company Novo Nordisk has launched its weight loss drug Wegovy in India. This medicine named Wegovy is made from semaglutide. It is taken as an injection once a week. This drug suppresses the appetite, which makes weight loss easier. Semaglutide acts like a specific hormone, which is called GLP-1. GLP-1 is released in our stomach after we eat food and makes us feel full. Because of this, we eat less and lose weight. There is another weight loss drug in the market called Mounjaro. It contains tirzepatide, which mimics a hormone called GLP-1 as well as GIP. Both these medicines help in weight loss. According to a 2023 study, in India, more than 25% of people are suffering from obesity. That is why such medicines are very necessary. But keep in mind, these medicines should be taken only on the advice of a doctor. This is not a magic pill. Rather, their effect is better with proper diet and exercise. In this video, we will cover all these topics of culture. Method. We will talk about INS Kaundinya and the Tanka process, which showcases our ancient Indian maritime heritage. INS Kaundinya is a special ship which was included in the Indian Navy's fleet on the 21st of May 2025. The ship was inducted into the Indian Navy at a ceremony at Karwar Naval Base, in which Culture Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat was the chief guest. It is named after Kaundinya, a famous Indian sailor who crossed the sea 2000 years ago and spread trade and culture in Southeast Asia. The ship is inspired by the 5th century paintings of Ajanta caves. There is a picture of a ship in Ajanta Cave number 2, which shows the maritime trade of that time. INS Kondinaya is built to the same design. This project started in July 2023, in which the Indian Navy Ministry of Culture and Goa-based company Hodi Innovations worked together. What is the stitching method? The soldering iron method is a 2000-year-old Indian shipbuilding technique. It does not have wooden planks nailed to it. Rather, it is joined by stitching it with coconut rope. These are then waterproofed with resin, cotton, and fish oil. This method makes the ship flexible and strong so that he remains safe even in the high waves of the sea and sand dunes. We will talk about the maritime heritage of India. Trade and commerce. India's maritime trade is very old. Dating back to the Harappan period in 2400 BCE, dry docks and clay figurines of ships found at Lothal suggest that India had trade with Mesopotamia. Harappan seals were found there, which provide evidence of trade through sea routes. It is also written in the Rig Veda that traders used to travel across the seas by ships to foreign countries for trade and money. The Chola, Chera, and Pandya dynasties of South India had maritime trade with the Roman Empire. The Vijayanagara and Bahmani empires imported horses from Iran and Iraq through the port of Goa. Cultural diffusion. Sea routes brought Indian culture to the world. Emperor Ashoka's son Mahendra and daughter Sanghamitra went to Sri Lanka by ship from Tamralipti in West Bengal and spread Buddhism there. India's trade and military expeditions with Southeast Asia spread our culture, religion, architecture, and languages. For example, the Borobudur Temple in Java and the Angkor Wat Temple in Cambodia are examples of the Indian style. Naval strength and maritime knowledge. The Navy of Magadha is considered to be the first recorded navy in the world. There is mention of naval warfare department in Chanakya's Arthashastra. The Chola king Rajendra Chola, the first, carried out successful naval expeditions against Sri Lanka and the Srivijaya Empire. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj built coastal forts like Vijayadurga and Sindhudurg and built a navy of over 500 ships. The Chola and Chera dynasties mastered the use of monsoon winds for sea voyages. Maritime diplomacy. The sea also facilitated diplomacy. King Meghvarman of Sri Lanka asked Samudragupta for permission to build a Buddhist temple at Gaya. The Sailendra dynasty sent emissaries to the court of the Pala dynasty and obtained permission to build a monastery at Nalanda. You should also look at this chart carefully once. Conclusion. The importance of maritime heritage. Reviving India's maritime heritage is not an attempt to simply relive the past, but to make India a leading maritime power in the Indo-Pacific region. Through strategic initiatives and cultural outreach, India is reconnecting with its ancient maritime identity. As INS Kondinaya and the Sagarmala program show, our future is inspired by our past. Famous paintings of Ajanta. The paintings of the Ajanta caves, which inspired INS Kondinaya, are very special. Paintings of various bodhisattvas, such as Vajrapani, symbolizing power of Buddha, Manjushri symbolizing wisdom of Buddha, and Padmapani is the symbol of Buddha's compassion. Painting of a dying princess, depicting emotions. Painting showing the reception of the Persian embassy by the Chalukya king Pulakeshin II. Paintings of Shibi Jataka, King Shibi giving his flesh to save a pigeon, and Matriposhaka Jataka, an elephant saving an ungrateful person. If you like the video, then like it now. Emblems and Names ACT, 1950. Recently, the Supreme Court had rejected a petition. This petition was related to the honor of a freedom fighter, which was brought under this law. The court rejected it because the purpose of this law is to protect special symbols and names and not to handle other types of honor-related matters. This law was made in 1950. Its purpose is to prevent misuse of certain symbols and names. These symbols and names are very important, like the symbols that honor our country. What is its purpose? This law ensures that no one may use these specific marks or names for business, trade, trademark or patent without the permission of the central government, meaning they cannot be misused for commercial purposes. Mark means any emblem such as a seal, flag, badge, coat of arms or any picture as specified in this act. For example, our national flag or Ashoka Chakra. It is our duty to respect them. This law is applicable all over India. Not only this, it is also applicable on Indian citizens living outside India. That is, any Indian, wherever he is. These symbols and names cannot be misused. You should also look at this chart carefully once, in which all the important names are given. You can watch the video of the first part of this magazine, Polity and Governance, on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box and end screen. Kumbakonam Vetrilai and Thovalai, Maanikka Malai. Now we will talk about Kumbakonam Vetrilai and Thovalai Manikka Malai, which have recently received the geographical indication tag in Tamil Nadu. This takes the total number of GI-tagged products from Tamil Nadu to 62. What is the Kumbakonam Vetrilai? This is a special betel leaf. It is grown in the fertile Kaveri River basin of Thanjavur. Its speciality is the presence of chavicol in it, which gives it antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. That means it is also beneficial for health. What is the Thovalai Manikka Malai? This is a special kind of flower garland made only in Thovalai. In this, the flowers are carefully folded and arranged in a geometric manner so that it looks shiny like ruby. This garland is known for its unique structure and beauty. What is GI tag? GI tag is a mark given to products that come from a particular place, and their speciality is due to that place. For instance, the speciality of Kumbakonam Vetrilai comes from the water and soil of the Kaveri River. This tag is given under the Geographical Indications of Goods Act 1999. It is administered by the Geographical Indications Registry located in Chennai. What is the importance of GI tag? These tags protect those products so that no one misuses them. This is part of intellectual property under the Paris Convention and the TRIPS Agreement. It is given by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. The validity of GI tag is 10 years, which can be renewed again. Uttar Pradesh has the highest number of GI tags. You can watch the video of the fourth part of this magazine security on our channel. You will also find its link in our I button, description box and end screen. World Test Championship. On the 11th to the 14th of June 2025, South Africa defeated Australia by 5 wickets at Lord's to win the 2023-25 World Test Championship. This was South Africa's first WTC title. As winners, South Africa received $3.6 million and the Test match mess, while Australia received $2.16 million. What is the World Test Championship? This is a special tournament in Test cricket, which started in 2019. Its aim is to make Test cricket more exciting, so that the best teams in the world compete against each other. The top 9 Test teams of the world play in it. These are Australia, South Africa, India, England, New Zealand, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, West Indies and Bangladesh. Each team plays 3 home and 3 away series in a 2-year cycle. Each series can have a minimum of 2 tests and a maximum of 5 tests. Every test match awards points, which add to the WTC standings. 12 points are awarded for a win, 4 points for a draw, and 6 points for a tie. If a team maintains a slow over rate, so 1 point is deducted for every over. After 2 years, the top 2 teams based on points percentage system play the final. This final is a test match, in which the winner gets the title of World Test Champion. In case the final is drawn, tied or cancelled, both teams become joint winners. You can also see other parts of this magazine from the description box of this video or from this end screen. If you liked this video, then do not forget to like and share this video and subscribe to the channel NoName IAS.